Hi!
Welcome to Scripts and Giggles with Shoshana.
And Marnie.
You have something to start. The heck? I was waiting for you.
Oh, I thought we were just going to see how long the silence could last.
Was this what you were going to do to start?
No.
Okay.
I have two things to say. They're about the internet. I'm going to say them very quickly now. I don't think they're pop culture news.
Go on.
They're like pop culture news adjacent.
Or observations.
Yeah. Number one. I have had a rise in wholesome content on my TikTok. 3 creators in particular, 3 black men.
Okay.
Shout out wholesome black men.
Wow.
Okay. One of them, he walks like train routes.
I think I know who you're talking about. Go on.
I will sit and watch a full 6-minute, 10-minute video of him walking from Greenwich to Wimbledon.
Does he stop and go into different buildings and talk about them?
No.
Okay, there's
but what he does is sometimes he has a friend along the way and he might take a break and speak to them, or he'll walk through a park and show you the best views. And
that's really sweet.
He went to Richmond. He was doing the walk. The last one I saw was he was doing the walk from Richmond to St Paul's Cathedral. And there is a point in a park, I can't remember what the name of the park is. It's called the King's Mound anyway, where if you look through a telescope you can see St Paul's Cathedral.
Wow.
And then he did the walk. And I was like, 1, this stuff is just so inspiring. 2, I'm just really like loving to see like places that I never go to but you see on your
walk, yeah.
Or on the tube map.
Yeah.
And 3, this is just so cute.
Yeah.
And like he times how long it takes him to get to every stop. And I'm just like, this is great. And it's inspiring. Maybe one day I'll do one of these walks. Because some of these walks are kind of cool. Like, I like the views.
Yeah. It reminds me of when we did a hike for your birthday.
Yes.
And that was an amazing journey. And there's so many, like, beautiful views
exactly.
Well, yeah.
It has been giving me ideas. Being like, oh, I wonder if this will be my hike this year.
Yeah. Wait, is this going to be an annual thing?
Maybe. The girls need to get on their Zoom.
We need to get our walking boots together.
Get your shoes on. It's time to get
walk.
I have been thinking about what to do for my birthday. I was thinking maybe we could go to the beach. Maybe if it's like, because it's getting warmer.
We thank God.
Maybe it will be warm enough that we could go to the beach. But if it's not warm enough, I was also thinking, why don't we go to karaoke? I've never been to karaoke before.
Have you not?
I've never been.
I don't know why I feel like... Okay, yeah, well, I mean, they both sound like great ideas.
Yeah.
Both sound like great ideas.
So, my birthday has become all about me ticking off something I've never done before. I've been to the beach before, but I might not have been to this beach.
Okay. So...
that's
what, do you know what? I feel like that's a good thing about birthdays. You can just...
do whatever you want.
Do whatever you want.
Do it. And if they don't come, you just make a mental note like, you
no!
hate me, you're not my good friend. Got it.
Oh my gosh.
I had someone be like, you have to have a party this year and you have to invite me to make up for the time that I didn't come last time. But no, I'm going to have the celebration that I want to have and you're not invited anyway, so don't worry about it. The second person, we will link these...
Yes, please.
People in the place where you link people.
We'll shut them out.
The second person, because I don't know any names, he races buses.
Yes, I know him. I've gone to his run club.
Really?
Yeah, he goes to the same run club as my sister.
Very enlightening.
Yeah.
I have become obsessed with him running these races with the buses.
Yeah.
I didn't know so many buses deliberately ran red lights so they could try and beat a person in a race.
I did not know that.
Some of you are going to get fired.
Please.
Be careful.
When TFL see you, Jerry.
Please be careful. I saw one just before I came where he's running from London to Wales.
Yes.
And I have saved that. I have not watched it yet. Yeah. But again, so wholesome.
Yeah, the boys are running.
Like I'm really like, I'm invested in the race.
Yeah.
I really want him to make it.
Jordan, I think his name is.
Good for you. And then the third person, so I shared this in our group chat. He tests your knowledge of the London transport system. And I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm a bit of like a transport nerd.
Oh, I didn't know that, but it does make sense when you did drop it in the group chat.
This is a new thing I'm discovering about myself, because it's like, this is weird. Like, I'm not like stand at the station and watch trains yet level, but I am obsessed with like how transport runs, like how roads work, stuff like that. I just think it's really cool. And he like tests your knowledge. Like he'll be like, oh, I'm at this station. It has the Bakerloo line, the Northern line, and the Victoria line. Where am I? I've made that up. I don't think that's real. Well,
Wait, what did you say?
What's the circus? I have a novel line.
Crap, sorry.
But that's basically how he phrases the questions.
Yeah.
And then sometimes he'll give you options, and sometimes he doesn't give you options. And
Euston? Sorry, no, I'm still thinking.
I think I made it up. I don't think it's.
Yeah, I don't think there's actually. Go on, you continue.
Actually, what did I say? Bakerloo, Northern. Oh, I think
and
so.
You said Bakerloo, Northern, and Victoria.
I think that is real. No, it's not.
No, I don't think it's real.
It's not.
It's.
They don't touch. They don't touch.
They don't touch. Yeah.
And I don't know. When I put it in the group chat, one of our friends was like, "Why is he paying all that sultry music in the background?" And I was like, "I don't notice any sultry music. It's like jazz music playing." But I will admit that over, I don't know, the 2 weeks, 3 weeks his videos have been popping up, I'm starting to feel like he's flirting with me. Like, I get it now. He has kind of like a really low, like smooth voice.
Isn't that just his regular voice?
Yeah, I don't think he's doing it on purpose. I'm just think I'm developing a crush on him.
And he's speaking to you directly.
Yeah. At one time.
Oh God.
No, sometimes he'll say stuff like, "Don't cheat," and I'm like, "Oh my God, how does he know that I was thinking about cheating?" I've never cheated on these, by the way. But when I tell you, I get so much validation when I get the right answer right.
Oh yeah, no,
I'm
true.
like, "Yeah, bitch, I know all the." I got an answer right on like the Hammersmith and City. I don't think I've ever got a Hammersmith and City train. But just like subliminally, I must have picked up, this and this stops at the station. Crazy.
Mind you, you've been commuting throughout London for most of your life.
Exactly.
So you inadvertently would have obtained this kind of knowledge.
I genuinely think like most people would probably do quite well on that quiz, not having made a deliberate effort to memorize stuff just because you know. Like at least if you know that you travel one line quite regularly, you probably do know where those stops intersect with other lines.
You know it well is when if you fall asleep and you wake up at your stop. Unfortunately, I experienced this on many occasions, so that's how I know.
Yeah, so those three men have been just really making me be like, you can use the internet for like really fun things. And I also like seeing like men have hobbies as well. Yeah. Especially because I'm going through this like hobbies journey of myself, and it's like, these are like adults who seem like well-adjusted and like they're flourishing in life, and then they just have a hobby that's like, and I like to walk and I like to run and I like to do quizzes that. I don't know, I'm really enjoying it. So that has been one of my cute little things I've noticed, and I'm like, I want more content like this from like black people. I want to see more black people just have really fun hobbies. I've been knitting.
How's it going?
I'm still doing it, as the girls know, and like sometimes when I'm knitting, I'm just like, this is crazy.
But it's fun. Like it's almost like taking us back to when we were kids, when we had the time. We have the time now. Yeah. To have hobbies that are just like random and out of like what we would usually do. You know, that's what it's about.
Hobbies that are not, this is my side hustle.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to sell scarves. You gotta buy it. Like there is actually no pressure when I knit, apart from the pressure of like, oh, I can't wait to see this finish. Yeah. Like, it's not like, oh, there's somebody waiting for an order if I don't knit. It's like,
true.
The pressure that comes with the, like, making your hobby your livelihood. And as a person who, like, has made a passion of mine my job, it's not nice, actually. Yeah. I would not always recommend that to people.
I think it's interesting because, like, there has been phases in my career where I do not watch TV. Like, I remember when people were like, oh, what shows do you watch on TV? And I'm like, I don't actually watch TV.
It's triggering.
Like, apart from the times when I'm coming to work to get paid to watch TV and market it, I'm not watching anything outside of it.
Yeah.
Or there was a time at university, like I think I mentioned on the pod, I used to love to read, and as I got into my A-levels and uni, I stopped reading because I had to read. Yeah. I was reading papers, I was reading journals, so I had no time personally to go and sit down and pick up a fiction book and sit down and read. Yeah. And it's only in my later into my adulthood that I enjoyed the hobby of reading again. But that is because I was doing it because I had to get paid to do it. Well, not paid, but actually I was paying someone to do it. Mm. So I get it.
Yeah. I was the same. Like stopped reading anything non-fiction, I think, from GCSE onwards, because it just felt like schoolwork.
Yeah.
And then, like, I'm now refinding, like, oh, I get to pick. Like, it's like, I actually can pick things that I'm interested in and read about them and not feel like, I'm going to have to write an essay on this afterwards. Like, I'm just reading stuff to be like, oh, that's, like, a really cool thing that I never knew about. Like, I'm reading a book at the moment called Women, Sex and Class. And it's about... It's a book of essays exploring, like, the legacy of slavery and emancipation and women's suffrage and, like, just basically the position that intersection of those things. And I think I bought it initially thinking it was going to be about, like, the sex, not like gender.
Okay.
Because I was like, oh, that's really interesting. I wonder how sex, like, sexual intercourse is seen through the lens of, like, women and class. But, like, equally, this thing about, like, feminism and the lens of feminism, white feminism as opposed to black feminism, or, like, the chapter I just read was about the quest for women's suffrage intersected with the emancipation and the emancipation of American slaves, and that a lot of women who went on to form the, like, leagues or the campaigns towards women's suffrage came from like, black liberation campaigns and moved into that. And then, like, interestingly, those people then suddenly were like, even though we've helped with the emancipation of slaves, we don't believe that black people should get the vote. And, like, that weird... weird, like, about face that they didn't even realise. It's like, oh, it just really made me think about, like, how lots of people think that they're not racist, right? Like, these people, I think, thought they weren't racist because they had helped with the liberation of black slaves, but they clearly did think there was a limit to what black people could achieve. So, like, baby, that's racism. But, like, you've done the cognitive dissonance to be like, this is not related to that. I do think all people should be free, but I don't think all people should vote.
It's just... It's the privilege to be able to decide what you want to choose.
Yeah.
We talked about it with Love is Blind. It's just that privilege of being like, I don't have to get involved in this.
Yes, exactly.
Or I can jump in when I want to and jump back out when I don't.
So that's been like I'm like very slow, like I just read that like just before I go to bed. So I'm like, it's a slower read for me. And I think in the past I've always been like, I need to read this cover to cover by tomorrow because I'm going to need to like present about this thing or whatever. And it's just nice to read about something where I'm like, I'm closing the book and I'm being like, lots of really interesting ideas to think about, and then going about my life and not feeling that like impulse to be like, but you haven't finished the book and it's been a week. So my second thing is, I don't know this guy's name. My apologies for not being prepared in terms of everyone's names. Have you seen the video of the guy who has filmed his morning routine?
I haven't seen it fully, but I know about it.
This video has been plaguing me all week. And I've seen variations which have been hilarious. I saw old lady one which was really funny. I saw one that was just like so I don't know if you quick overview if you haven't seen it. There is a guy, I don't know what his job is.
Apparently I thought he was in the fitness world.
I will say this to everybody. If you're ever watching a video from someone and you don't know what their job is, be wary. He gets up at 3:52 a.m.
To be exact. I'm not exaggerating. That's the exact time he wakes up. He removes his mouth tape. He pours sparkling water into a bowl and dunks his face in it. I thought it was ice water.
It's sparkling water.
Jesus
He
Lord.
brushes his teeth and rinses it with sparkling water.
Huh?
He then goes outside, does like push-ups for 2 minutes.
Okay.
And then there's a jump of about 6, 7, 8 minutes where he's just sort of squatting. I'm not saying he's doing squats. I'm saying he's just squatting. Like he's just outside.
Oh, just clenching. Yeah.
Then he's back inside. He eats a banana, uses the banana skin on his face. Apparently that's a beauty tip. I don't know. I've never heard of it. He does a call at one point where he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna need to buy 10,000 of it." 10,000 of what? We never said that. He has like breakfast cooked for him and like different bottles of sparkling water brought into him by a set of white hands, but we never see this person.
Yeah.
At one point he goes to the gym. I'm cheating for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Comes home, more when I tell you, I thought it was an ad for the sparkling water.
I was going to say, yeah, because it's definitely feeding ads. Like.
And it's just like, the durations that he's putting on the things just don't quite make sense. They don't sync up. And I saw another video, I think it's the same video, where he goes in, he jumps in a pool, and it's like, he jumps, and it's like 4:17. When he lands, it's like 4:25. So he was in the air for like 10 minutes. Like, what is going on? It is the most bizarre morning routine. And then when you think about it, like, basically this goes up until like 8, right?
Oh my gosh.
And I think he's posting that to be like, look at me, look at all the stuff I've done before you guys have even got up. It's like, why would you wake up this early? You woke up this early to do nothing. You haven't done anything.
Because he's a fitness influencer called Ashton Hall.
That's not a job. That's not a job.
His 5.5 morning routine. Sorry, his 5.5 hour morning routine has gone viral.
Goof. From the beginning to the end. And when I first saw it, it would be something I would usually scroll past. And then I saw someone reposted it, and I was like, right, I'm going to look at it again. And then that's when I noticed the timestamps. So I was like, what is going on? Like, what's going on? What have you got up for? Like, the flex of waking up at 3:52 to just stand outside for a bit is crazy. And at first I was like, haha, this is actually quite funny. Like whatever's going on here is so bizarre. It's funny.
Yeah.
And then I started, again, putting on my feminist hat. And I know people are probably sick of me. But he wouldn't be able to do that 5-hour morning routine without these faceless women who are, like, making his breakfast and bringing him stuff and bringing him these bottles and, like, collecting the spit out of his mouth. I mean, like, it's not that, but, like, it is that extreme, right? And there's also a video where he goes for a run in the street and then somebody is driving alongside him.
What's capturing him running?
No, just, I guess, his bodyguard. There's also a video of him going to play basketball with the bodyguard just standing. I'm like, what is your job? Yeah. That you require this much people just stood around you? But it really started to give me, the more I saw it and the more I saw people like the recreations and the jokes about it, like, it's given Handmaid's Tale. Like, something is off about this. Like, these women that we never see the face of, who are just around doing this stuff, is making me kind of uncomfortable. So it's been, like, a really interesting evolution of a joke, which was, like, funny on Tuesday and then got to, like, today, and I was like, I don't know. And then he posted something being like, every creator has been in the situation I'm in right now when people start copying your content. And it's like, no one's copying your content, they're making fun of you.
So I'm looking at it in silence now. Sorry.
Yeah, no, please do.
Because it's so specific as well.
And, like, why? Like, and the time is changing every second. Like, a second. It took him
3 minutes
to walk through his house.
No,
to stand outside. It's 4:14. See, that was 4:20.
Yeah. No, this must be a joke. I think it's an ad. It must be an ad.
Oh, yeah. Then he opens a notebook.
Is it the Bible?
Yeah, and then he opens a notebook for the first time. That's what's up with it. And then it's... See?
Okay. Sorry, this is dead air that we have to cut out. Sorry.
He is... Yeah, then he's dressed.
So all these random people.
Yeah, he's dressed. This is at 6 o'clock now. You've been up for almost for 2 hours. Packing a bag for 4 minutes. Walking through your house for a minute, getting in the lift for a minute. Like, it's just bizarre. You could have just kept the timer the same.
But I think...
And the lift was quicker than you walking through your house, by the way. All of this, like, all of him getting to the...
Why does it take, like, 20 minutes to get him downstairs?
To get downstairs.
No, it has to be a parody.
He goes to the gym, he gets in the sauna, he comes out the sauna, he doesn't take a shower after the sauna, by the way. He just puts clothes on over it. This is him running alongside by this car.
It must know.
He's had 3 costume changes already, by the way.
It's a parody. It has to be a parody.
That was my thinking. This cannot be real.
This is going to be an SNL next week. Or this week.
100%.
Yeah, parody. It's 100% a parody. Yeah, it's an ad.
It's a parody or it's an ad for that water?
It has to be an ad for the water. It has to be. Because I have seen morning routines where the people do wake up at crazy hours, but it's also never this detailed. Yeah, it has to, come on, it has to be a joke. Yeah, you're right. All these faceless hands.
so he could sit at a computer and do what? You said he's a fitness influencer.
Yeah, no, there is no...
What is he doing?
His thing was, the morning routine, easy routes don't pay well, get up.
Girl, you didn't do shit. You literally, what
you
you did in 4 hours, I could do in half an hour.
And still have a good night's sleep.
And still have a good night's sleep. You got up, you did 4 push-ups, you read the Bible, and you wrote, I really think, 1 word in a notebook.
What?
Drank some water. I don't think you even drank that water. Just kept on pouring bottles of water.
Yeah.
Went to the sauna. What are you going to the sauna for? You ain't done nothing yet.
Yeah, true. I know maybe people think that they can release toxins.
Like, I'm even trying to think, you got up. And you went and you did 4, even the 4 push-ups outside. You didn't even burn enough calories in those 4 push-ups to even warrant that as a thing. Like, why did you even do that?
Oh my God.
I get up in the morning, I do 4 push-ups.
Do you know what? If he likes it, I love it. Because I'll still be sleeping and having a sweet sleep while you're doing all of that. And again, you're right. I could do everything you just
Everything you did in that morning, you could have done.
Literally in half an hour. I don't need a sauna, I'll just have a hot shower.
Waking up at 3:52 as well.
Come on. Also,
as if that's a natural time that your body would just be like, oh
my God, it's time to wake up. Like, no. Interesting. I'm so glad I watched it because I did see like snippets of it. But I was going to say, in comparison, on a contrast to your wholesome TikTok viewing.
Yeah, this was not wholesome.
This one's not wholesome. But the only other thing I've been seeing tons of was Bad Bunny's Calvin Klein ads.
Yeah. I mean...
Which I was going to use as a contrast to you seeing guys who are just walking in nature and I'm seeing the guy shake his ass.
I've seen people... I saw the Bad Bunny... I saw people, like, reacting to it.
Yeah.
And I went to look at it. And then I, of course, made the mistake of looking in the comments. And when I tell you, the things that people write on TikTok when they are horny is insane.
Wild.
I've never even... The stuff that people write, I would never even think of.
No.
It would never even cross my mind. Let alone, let me type this out.
I do think some of the funniest comedians are on TikTok. The comment section... it's also some of the horniest ones as well, but like, I'll be like, wow.
I didn't realise there were so many ways to convey your horniness.
No!
Like, I always used to say, like, I remember going in trouble by my boss mentioned this, he was like, this is kind of glorifying domestic violence, which it isn't. But I remember, like, saying, like, a while ago, people used to say, oh, he could break my arm. Like, as a thing of, like, this person is so hot to me, like, they could break my arm, I would still think they're hot. The stuff that people say on TikTok is 20 times darker than that. Crazier.
Sorry, I'm now looking at the comments. Oh, there's someone... The top comment at the moment is, oh, I'm definitely lesbian. That's what he says at the top.
Okay.
I can't believe I'm watching this for free. That's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on season 2, episode 5. Anyone else? Yes!
That one's actually not a bad one.
No, I'm trying to think of... Oh, so this made my whole...
Yeah, exactly. Anything that is a reference to a whole, I'm already like...
I mean my whole week. Sorry. Don't ask me what colour anything is. Wait. Someone actually commented that they're deeply traumatised by the comment section.
I quite like the reference, how many times have I watched this? Yes.
Yes. That's a good one. Because that being said, I did watch it quite a number of times.
Yeah, I genuinely like the ones that don't ask me what colour anything in this video is. I think those ones are like a nice...
I shouldn't watch this in public. I want this played at my funeral. Wild! There's a whole bunch of people... There's a whole bunch of think pieces as well. Because the people who didn't like it are saying it's because he's Latino and he's black.
Yeah, so I was going to say that.
Yeah.
I saw the video of him and I was like, nice. And then I saw... And I'd seen reactions of people who were also like, nice. And then I saw someone being like, the backlash to Bad Bunny. It's like, there's backlash.
Fam?
Backlash?
Someone also wrote, poked my eye, so... Sorry, I'm still looking at the comments.
People are just... they're really funny. I've never been that horny.
No. I did gasp. I was like...
I thought you said I was horny.
No. I was like, no. I did gasp when I saw it. I was like, wow. Very revealing.
Okay, I'm going to say something
campaign.
maybe controversial.
Go on.
Bad Bunny is the kind of handsome that is no longer handsome to me. Does that make sense? Like, he's a bit like, that guy.
Jeremy Allen White?
No. The light-skinned guy who's with Tiana Taylor.
Aaron Pierre, that's Mufasa.
You know, like, where it's like, damn, you're actually... It hurts to look at you.
You're too good looking.
Like, I think this man is so handsome, he's now veering on to not being handsome.
You've completely course
yeah, you've gone all the way back round. I think he might be ugly.
Yeah. No, I think Bad Bunny in his early days, not attractive. I think he's had a real great blow up.
I remember seeing him at the Met Gala, and I was like, "Who's this?"
The one with the back one.
Yeah, I was like,
the suit with the back.
Honey?
Yeah.
I didn't know who he was, so I was like, "Yeah, I need to know who this is ASAP."
Yeah. Sorry, I keep on reading the comments. I need to stop.
But yeah, then I saw people saying, they're saying that his advert's too sexual.
Or some people are saying it's for the male gaze, and other people are saying for the female gaze. I'm like, what?
Sorry,
gay?
can we just pause on the male gaze, female gaze thing?
Yeah.
Why would it be bad if it was for the male gaze? What, men don't want to see hot men?
Yeah, no problem. I think it's because Bad Bunny has kissed guys in public before.
Good! What in the fuck? I don't understand.
And there's rumours about him.
Why would I be upset? That's crazy. Because when a video shot for the male gaze and a woman looks hot, where you get in a conversation she looks hot.
True.
That's what you need to say and keep it pushing.
Yeah.
Nobody said that these. First of all, if you don't think that these Calvin Klein ads are homoerotic anyway, you're an idiot.
Yeah, that's a whole
This is an
purpose.
advert for men's pants,
which you would probably buy for your man.
I would never buy pants for my man.
You're not buying
That's
underwear.
not gift. I would not. I don't think gifts is a pants.
No, but
Pants is a gift?
It's stock fitting. It's a fitting.
Stop filling. She can't speak English anymore.
Yeah,
her brain is frazzled.
Oh my god. No, it's stock fillers.
Stocking fillers.
Jesus. Well,
get your mind out of the gutter.
It's something.
Get your mind out of the gutter for a sec.
Okay, is a stocking filler.
Yeah. And he's filling them stockings.
Already.
No, he is.
No, I think in this he looks great.
But yeah, I just don't understand why people are upset. But yes, of course, this is for the male gaze. Men are gonna look. The point is that men look at this and want to be here, and also girls look at this and, like you said, want to buy this for their man.
Also, if you look at the ad, which I have on many occasions, yes, that's what I am. The yes. The ad has two different types of direction in terms of the creative. It's very
yes, you're right, sister. Speak from your knowledge. That's right.
From a marketing perspective,
get on your high horse,
from a marketing perspective, at the beginning, it begins with him in the more sexual poses. In more sexual poses.
Go through the whole ad. Go through the whole ad.
I'll go through the whole ad. He starts with more sexual poses. Standing there, almost half naked. And then
why is it sexual to be half naked?
Yeah, the way he was
standing,
the way that he was standing, and then he touches the glass, and then it switches to more boxing, which is for the male gaze.
For the males.
It shows his athletics, it shows his sportiness.
Sporty side.
Athleticism.
Yeah.
And that really gives the more masculine energy, male gaze aspect. I do think this ad is supposed to be for Benny Genders.
Who's Benny Genders? That's what I just heard. This is for Benny Genders. Please tell me who Benny Genders is. I can't wait to meet him.
His name is Benito. No, this ad is for the male and the female gaze. I actually agree with them. It's for the male and the female gaze because
the Jeremy Allen White ad. Where was the boys in that?
There was no boys.
Where was the male gaze in that?
And I want to see if this is gonna be the highest viewed TikTok ad for Calvin Klein.
Because you keep playing it. You're like, I have to. I'm supporting my boy. I'm supporting Bad Bunny.
I went to go and compare it because people were like, oh my gosh, this doesn't compare to the Jeremy Allen one. And Jeremy Allen's got 33 million. This guy's got about 23 so far.
Let's see the Jeremy Allen one because I really don't think. I thought the Jeremy Allen one was quite over in its sexuality as well.
It was, but I think it's mainly just of the angles.
Exactly. So why you're mad at him because he's got something and he's got things to fill out?
But also, I keep on feeling are these guys wearing socks?
He literally is taking his clothes off.
Yeah, it's true. That's for the female gaze man. Okay, this is a supercar. Because I kind of think, do you think he's wearing a sock?
I'm not going to answer that question. I believe everybody is endowed in the way
because
that
I do believe that Bad Bunny was not wearing a sock.
And that's enough. And that's enough.
But in this one, actually, I don't think it. No, you see that angle? Wild. That angle when the camera's like this low, as he's taking off his shirt.
That's what I'm saying. Why is the camera filming me from being on my knees, looking up at you? That is sexual.
To see the shape and the 3D-ness.
The angle is you are on your knees looking up at Jeremy Allen White, and that's not sexual.
That is crazy. That is crazy.
That's not sexual. Why am I looking
That's
up at a
so
man I
crazy.
know I'm taller than?
And
That's
also-
crazy.
And then also when he's on the... Okay,
Like...
yeah, it's not a sock. But anyway...
But I'm saying, look at that stance on that. Is that for the male gaze?
That is not for the male gaze.
Is a man looking at that being like, yeah,
that-
I love seeing it when men are just sprawled on the...
No, that's 100%... Look at the...
Calvin Klein is gay. It has always been gay. It's inherently gay. If you don't think it's gay to be looking at a man in his pants, you are gay.
That's why Ayo said, that's my boy. And don't ask me more questions.
Don't ask me
That's
anything.
my boy, okay?
If you
That's
get
my
asked
colleague,
to do,
actually, fam.
if you get asked to do a Calvin Klein ad, what you need to understand is that someone is basically saying that you are hot to men and women.
That is... You know what?
That is the compliment of getting a Calvin Klein ad.
Yeah.
You are so hot that men who like looking at men and women who like looking at men are going to both be served.
I like looking at you. Full stop. But yeah, that's one being taken over my TikTok.
We have very different TikToks.
They're different at the moment. I do need to kind of carve mine to go back to your type. I really enjoy watching that. Though I think the first guy you talked about with the walks, I have seen similar videos. I love it. It's very calming, and that's the type of content I will happily sit down and watch on TikTok. Any of the other crap, swipe. Should we move on to pop culture news?
Yeah.
Okay, so this week in pop culture news, as I've mentioned on the podcast before, I love to watch The Bachelor. And the series just finished with the Bachelor called Grant. And he made his final pick. And perfectly honest, the pick that he eventually made, it was a girl called Juliana. It's not a spoiler because the series has now been out for a while. He picked her because she was the fun one. And there was another girl that he had, been dating all up to this point, his runner-up. Her name was Latia. And perfectly honest, she was 31, she wanted kids, and she was Mormon. Very completely different. And I'm not even saying those three traits to emphasize it. It's because he kept on saying it a lot. Probably minus the Mormon part. He just kept on saying she's 31 and she wants to have kids.
How old is he?
31 as well. Fam.
Like the dating porters in the toilet.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
And the whole time in the show, he was like, I just want to have family. I just want to have a kids. And
so how are
wife.
you going to have a family if I don't have no kids?
Fam, because my father walked out on me when I was younger. He was a drug addict. I just want to have
TMI.
Yeah, but this is his story. This is his story. But the one thing I really want to pick out watching this series, particularly Latia's character, and it's got nothing to do with the fact that she's 31, wants kids, or is Mormon, is that the way she spoke to Grant, the Bachelor, the whole time was like this. I really love this. Like, I love you, and this is so fun, and I've never said I love you to a guy before. Now, when he broke up with her at the end, after she had professed her whole love to him, this girl switched, and she was like,
"You dumb bitch."
They're like, excuse me. She's like, come on now.
Who the hell's this?
Come on now.
Who's this?
And do you know what? This reminds me very much of Virginia from Love is Blind, where the whole season she was like, oh, whatever you like, to what's his face? Can't remember what his name was.
Yeah.
Brokey.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever you like. Yeah. He's just a good man. He's just a good man, Savannah. And it's really making me think, and this is my commentary of what I've been seeing in reality dating shows, particularly of black women, because I didn't mention their race on Bachelor, but Grant was a Dominican black man, or African American, and Latia...
Afro-Latino?
Yes, Afro-Latino is the best way to describe him. And Latia, she is Fijian. She's so beautiful.
I'm sure she is.
She is stunning. I'm so sorry I have to get a photo of her.
You said Fiji, I said, yeah.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
And also, everything she ate she wore, just ate on the series.
Everything she ate.
Everything she ate. But everything she wore in the series, she looked incredible. Just trying to see if I can get a picture. No, this picture doesn't do her justice. I want to see the dress she wore at the proposal, because it was such a beautiful dress. She could walk in it though.
If you've seen those Mr. Universe videos where they announce themselves, they're like France, England, Ireland, and it's like Fiji, oiled up, no shirt, just tiny little shorts. I'm like, I need to go to Fiji. What's going on there?
That's her.
Yeah.
her dress, I mean, you can't see that that dress is very nice, but what she wore for when the proposal before she got broken up with was also such a beautiful dress.
Just a beauty queen.
Yeah, she's stunning. But yeah, I'm seeing this trend with a lot of African American or black contestants or people of color with the female contestants, where they're doing this really innocent speaking voice to the men to almost pacify them, to pick them, and then when it doesn't work out, the bass comes in, the attitude comes out all of a sudden.
When I was a kid, I remember reading like, well, I remember it was a kid, I don't know, something from one of those 17 mags or whatever they're called that don't exist anymore, where they were like, when you speak to, notice that like when girls speak to guys that they like, they go up an octave.
Yeah.
And that like, even when women speak to men in general, you tend to go up an octave because you are like, I'm a sweet little baby who needs help. And so it would make sense when speaking to a mate that you would use your soft feminine voice and be like, oh my god, you are like, wow, so interesting.
You were the smartest guy I've ever met in my life.
You just like, I can't imagine my life without you now. Because who the hell wants to date? Why are you here? That's the voice of, I'm tired, I don't want to be with you anymore. But the voice of like, oh my god, he's so funny, like, you need to meet him, like, he's so cute. That is the voice of somebody who is loved. And that's the voice of someone who is like, pick me, I'm just a sweet little baby.
But it's still quite scary, like almost a Disneyfication of being a woman to attract a mate. It's
I think
crazy.
Also the hard thing about, and again, I've only ever been a black woman when it's like to be other people, but I think black women have to perform softness because inherently people do not think that we're soft, right? People think that, oh, here she is, she can carry the world on her back, and the baby, and the job, and me. So you perform softness, and it isn't like, you can't just be a soft feminine girly in your normal voice. Like, this version of me, a man would still expect me to come in and be the linebacker in his house. You know? So if I want to be seen and I want to be treated like a princess, I have to perform. Like, a version of femininity that would make someone be like, you're just a sweet baby angel. Down to, like, the way that you dress even. True. Like, today I'm wearing a hoodie and jeans. This is not given soft feminine baby. No. Like, my hair is in two braids. That's not given soft feminine baby. Yeah. If I wanted to give soft feminine baby, I would have to change this whole look up. And I hate that. Like, I hate that, like, that even crosses my mind when I'm on work calls or when I'm speaking to people, that I'm aware of the fact that, like, right now, maybe the version of me that you're looking at, you would not think, oh, that's sweet baby angel and she needs to be protected and loved and babied. So I have to wear a dress or a skirt or, like, be cold on a cold day so that someone could be like, oh my god, so feminine, so fishy, so calm. Like, it's annoying, which is why I don't do that. And I don't doubt for a second that I will find my person looking exactly like this, because the truth of the matter is I might wear a dress or a skirt to the first 3 dates. One of these days is going to be cold, I want to wear my jeans.
Oh, 100%.
One of these days we're going to be doing something that requires me to wear trousers. I wear trousers in my life.
You will see me in a head bonnet.
You will see me in a bonnet. You will see me tired. You will see me hung over. You will see me over it. You will see me not in the mood. Like, that is what a real relationship is like. There's, you know that scene in Bridesmaids where she, like, gets up and puts her makeup on?
I haven't watched Bridesmaids.
What? Bridesmaids feels like such a you-coded film, by the way.
I know, but I haven't watched it. When it gets on Netflix, I'll watch. Or Disney, I'll watch it.
Bridesmaids is so old.
I know it's old, but I just never properly watched it. Yeah.
When Bridesmaids is on a streaming app, we are going to live watch this, because I really do feel like Bridesmaids in my head is so Shana coded.
Huh, really?
Like, in my head, you are a fan of this film.
By the way, what character am I?
I don't know, I've only watched that film like once.
Okay, but when you say it's coded...
Wait till you watch it.
Okay, great. Cause
I feel like you'll watch it, you'll be like, okay, I see why you put me in this.
Oh, is it about the whole holiday thing?
No.
Being anal about
no, it's not about holidays.
Because
being anal
the girl
about
has
traveling.
grown.
No, it's not that.
Okay.
I'm just saying watch it. Okay. I just think that you will very much enjoy that film.
Okay.
It's very Shoshana coded.
Okay, great. What if you end up watching it before?
No, then you have to watch it again.
Okay, that's fine.
But there's a scene in Bridesmaids where she gets up out of bed and puts on makeup and then gets back in bed and it's like, morning. And it's giving that. Like, you cannot expect your partner. You as a woman cannot maintain this, like, facade of, like, I'm just this dainty little baby. Unless you really are a dainty little baby. But both, like you said, both of these women switch up. You're not a dainty little baby. As soon as he says no, she switches. But you don't need to be a dainty little baby. The craziest thing about it is both Virginia and I haven't watched The Bachelor, but Virginia, I think, is still giving femme down. Yeah. Even in the version of her that's like, he doesn't cook, I pay for everything, he was this, he was that. That's how you should have spoken to him. I really because that's how he needed to be spoken to. But I get it. It's annoying as a woman to feel like my job is going to come in here and also marshal and mother you as well. Yeah. I want to be held. Yeah. I don't want to have to hold you. Yeah. So. Yes, it's interesting.
It was. Yeah. So that was my observation of the week, and that was it triggered as soon as I saw like her switch up. It just triggered what happened in Love Is Blind, and just I'm seeing this behavior of apathetic. I don't know if that's the right word.
Yeah, I would think
women.
If I'm talking to a man and this is the register, there's no attraction. No,
yeah. I'm speaking with like what bros.
Yeah, literally.
I'm speaking to you as the female gaze.
Literally,
not like we're boys. No, we're girls.
We cannot come back from this point.
No.
We're never unless you are attracted to this. Yeah, we'll never come back from this point.
And actually, do you know what I think about even myself? Like the guys I have absolutely no interest in, and I'm like, we're brothers. Like I always wanted a brother. Like you're my brother kind of thing. Like I will talk to you openly. Like we'll just chat, joke around. Like some people may think that's flirting, and I'm like, no, I'm just having a joke the same way I would joke with my girlfriends. Yeah, a guy that I like, mute. Dust, silent.
I haven't even seen him.
Not even giving eye thing.
He could get hit by a car. What do you care? Where is he though?
And I do think that sometimes the tone may change a bit, even if I'm taking the piss out of you.
I haven't liked someone in such a long time. I actually cannot remember what it is like to speak to someone that I like.
I know. Just
isn't that a gag?
No, because I relate with you.
I know, but isn't that? But still, it's a gag.
But it's been a while.
Damn.
I'm now speaking from experience.
The streets are dry.
The dry is desert, fam.
The desert is dry.
Desert.
No, one oasis.
No,
on the horizon, babe.
I think about one of my closest friends. When she met a guy who is now her husband, like I realized that she liked him because we were living together. I was on the top floor. She was downstairs in the garden. The guy was there. And I could hear her voice. This girl's voice was loud.
Oh my God!
And I remember thinking, what?
You're so funny.
Why can I hear this girl's... Why is she shouting? Like, I kept on thinking, why is she shouting? And I'm telling you, my friend, and she would honestly tell you, and even to this day, she is tomboyish. And I could not believe it. I was like, why am I hearing this girl? She's so loud. Then I could hear a deep voice afterwards. I was like, who the hell is he? But...
Do you think boys put on the deep voice when they talk to girls they like?
Maybe.
Is it a gag the first time your husband actually drops the thing and he's just like, hey?
No. Shut up. Why would it be that significant?
Girl,
why would that be significant in octave? No, I think... not
Sister!
Not the finger claps. No, I just think like... Or the spirit fingers. No, I mean... I think he would try and like prop himself up and be a bit more
but
massive.
Actually would get the ick.
That's the thing.
I would get the ick if he was doing like, yeah, anyway, babe, let me see. And then I found out you woke up in the morning and you're like, morning. What the fuck?
No, I think you have to drop that facade very, very quickly.
Nah, or you have to keep it up for the rest of your life. That's it. Those are your only two options. You can never drop this act now.
Or just come as you are.
Because I will not drop it. If you come into the room and you have a completely different voice, I'm gonna be like, what the fuck is going on?
Just come as you are, man. Come as you are.
Yeah, I had a cold. I actually had a cold.
Oh my God.
The whole time we've been dating, I had a cold. Now the cold's cleared up.
No.
And this is my real voice.
No, come as you are to begin with, and I will make my judgment from there.
Which I agree. I think that, like, I think it is crazy. Like, whenever people deliver food to my house, I literally open the door, I'm like, they're like, order for money, and I'm like, yeah.
You do.
Oh my God, thank you. And that's not me. That's not me. The person that answers the door is not me. That's a version of money that is just here to collect an order.
Yeah, but that's the telephone. That's the formal telephone voice. Like, we all have it. But should you be doing that with your man? That's the big question.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm actually gonna put on an accent when I speak to my man on the phone.
And then he'd be like, "Who's this?
Hello.
Who is this?
Relax, bro."
Okay, that sounds more like it. But I don't know.
You're getting too hot already.
But
relax.
I think this is interesting. Maybe there is probably experiments in the world already. If you go out in the world with your Disney-fied, formal, overly girly voice or overly feminized voice versus if you just went out as yourself, what would happen?
It's really interesting. I think the other thing is, I don't know, when I think about myself, I have so many different voices as is already in my voice that like you are gonna get a version of me. You're not gonna get every single version of me. The way I speak to my nan is very different to the way that I speak to my friends, which is very different to the way that I speak at work, which is very different to the way that I speak to a man. You know, you'll be privy to all of them because at some point you're gonna hear me speaking to that person. But whether that's the voice that you get and which one is the real one is up for debate. It's up for debate.
Well, that was a food for thought. I was just thinking the voice, like is my voice the voice that I have when I speak to myself?
The voice I have in my head,
or the voice I have in my head,
doesn't even have an accent, does it?
No, every now and again I live alone, so sometimes I speak to myself in terms of like things I need to do.
I love to do that.
And
I do a different voice every time though.
It's different.
Sometimes I'll just do an accent to myself.
Do you know what?
Sometimes I'm just at home being like...
Is she Ghanaian?
When I won this award...
Okay, I'm done.
Like, I'll just be doing different accents to myself. I'm
so done. But you know what? Yeah. Maybe you'll eventually evolve the voice, that register for that person because...
Yeah, and I've also... the other thing is, when you spend time with someone sometimes, you start to mimic them.
True, that is true.
Like, I was talking to a friend of ours about this. When I was a kid, I had more of a South London accent.
Yeah.
And I remember specifically, this memory is cemented in my brain. I was in the car with my mum, and people in my primary school were going swimming. It was the summer, right?
Yeah.
And I was like... oh, everyone's going swimming. Can I go swimming? She was just like, I don't know, I'll think about it. She was like, who's going? I was like, all the girls and the boys. And my mum whacked me across the face.
All the girls and the boys.
all the girls. She was like, why are you saying girls and boys like that? That's not how you speak. And I was like, oh. The fuck? And I was like, well, actually, yes, that I would have had at that time the accent of people that I went to school with, accent of people that I grew up with, which was probably more South London. And then at that point, I was like, scrap that.
Can't do that anymore.
Scrap that.
Yeah.
And so sometimes as a treat to myself when I'm at home, I do myself my little accent. Oh. It's a little treat to myself. What can I say? And it's for me. It's for me. Now, am I going to do that accent outside? Probably not. But if I dated someone who had that accent, lo and behold, you guys would be seeing me.
We're going to get South
and you'd be like, you're different. You're different ever since you started dating X. I'd be like, yes, I'm my real self and what?
Wow.
I'm my real self and what?
I kind of want you to date a South Londoner just to see this. Come to life even more.
And then who's to say if I'm dating someone who's fucking Irish, I would start being like, yeah.
I will be finished.
Just saying some words with my accent, you'd be like, what the fuck?
Well, I mean, I get that because even there's some words, and I was teased a lot at school.
No.
Pepe.
Charlotte Girl speaks, she says hair.
Hair.
But do you know what's funny? Loads of people there was a boy in my primary school who did the same thing. I think it's actually quite a South London thing to say air and hair and bear.
It is, yeah. I don't know. It's just we just don't make it a diphthong.
Whose hair? Whose hair?
And
that's what do you mean?
That's why I learned linguistics because I know what's going on with my voices. But it's because it should be a diphthong,
which makes sense because where should rhyme with here. But it doesn't.
Hair, where. Anyway.
For you it does. Because you're saying hair and where. But it's here and where.
Yeah, I know. But either way, it is what it is. I'm from South side of that river. Tell them don't waste my time.
Boo. 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 Boo.
I used to say in it a lot. And I really had to...
In it.
Got beat out of me quite
quickly. Yeah, exactly. To say, my nan...
Or was it just like, it was just reprimand, like, why are you speaking like that?
My nan would be like... I'd be like, I'll have a glass of water. She'd be like, what? I'm like, water. She'd be like, what?
Water
She's like, it's water. I'm like, first of all, you're saying it with an accent, babe. You're not even saying water. You're not saying water. You're saying something else. And then you're coming on me because I said water. But this is where I'm from and this is how I speak. So like, yeah, as a kid, I literally
exactly.
developed a complex about the way that I speak to the point where now I probably speak this like hybrid. Like I realise I say girl. I do say girl.
Other boys.
I don't say girl. I say girl.
Girl.
Yeah, that's the song. I say girl.
Girl.
And I say,
girl.
what's the other thing I say? What's going on?
That's so South London.
What's going on? What's going on? I say, don't say that phrase anymore.
That's so South London. Look, do you know what? I think it's important to
my friend who's from me used to be like, well, they came around my house.
House! What the hell is house?
House! Everybody said this, what the fuck's going on here? And then I say going on. So we all have our little thing.
And I love it, like, even for a city, even as people are like, oh, London's a big city, it's not that big. It's not that big.
It's not.
When you go to other countries, you realise we're an island. We're a pim.
Island.
We're an island girl.
We're an island girl. I'm an island girl.
So really... Oh, island girl. Where you from?
Island girl.
Where you from? United Kingdom. You got
the island of
England. Well, we're a small island, and so, but it's so funny.
I'm actually gonna start. I'm gonna change my Instagram bio to Island Girl. I'm doing it, and no one can stop me because I'm from Ireland.
Yeah, but everyone will be like, "What the hell is this?
What island?
What island?
Like, this one,
you're not
England.
You're not even Io Debris, and you can be like, "I claim Ireland."
And I'm also from Ireland. Now what? So they're both islands.
You're island and island.
I'm from an island.
So my thing is even in a small city like London, the way you have a huge city but small geographically, but the way that there's so many variations in our accents from south to east to west to north is hilarious.
Yeah.
So when someone's like, "Where are you from, London?" But where? South London.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry. Yeah, but do you say don't worry about it? They're like, oh yeah, South London.
No,
No, yeah, south of that river. Yeah. So yeah, but I love it.
Yeah, I don't think I say south.
No, I use that as a mocking.
But I definitely don't say the TH. South.
Yeah, south. I'm from South London. Oh.
I've never said south.
I'm from South London.
Do you know what? Perfect. So I was talking to some people and they were talking about Sydenham. Yeah. And they were like, Sydenham. They said Sydenham. I said, huh? It's Sydenham. They said, no, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, no, I'm saying Sydenham. You're saying Sydenham.
Yeah, you don't need to pronounce
You're not from here. Yeah, you're not from here.
It's like when Americans say, Worcestershire. Worcestershire. Leicestershire. But yeah, that was my observation of the week, and I can't wait to see it more in more reality dating shows. I just think it's just a trend we're going to keep on seeing. If
I was to go, because I've seen that Love is Blind is advertising for people.
Oh, I know.
If I was going to Love is Blind, I would literally do a fake accent the whole time, like the girl in Traitors. I'll just do a Welsh accent.
I haven't watched it, but I can imagine it would be hilarious.
Hey everyone, I'm Beth. I'm from Cardiff, and I'm just really excited to be in the city and find someone who's interested in dating someone like me.
That would be so funny.
Put it on.
And the joke is, it probably would take you.
Literally.
They'd
be like, take you. Wow, tell us more about Cardiff. Like, wow, what can I say about Cardiff? I mean,
so funny.
It's so like, wow.
I'm excited to see
lie through my teeth.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you know what you can't do is turn around to me and say your accent sounds fake.
Yeah, you can't.
I'll be like, wow,
racist.
Literally, wow, what black people can't be from Cardiff? What can you say to me now?
Ironically, not see many.
Which is actually untrue, because in the Second World War, there was there's a port. Cardiff is a port, right?
Yeah.
And Navy ships were stopping Cardiff, and several of the Commonwealth soldiers would spend time in Cardiff, and so there was actually quite a big biracial population who were children of said soldiers.
Oh, that's actually really interesting. I was thinking of that show. It was a bit like Geordie's show, but
I know what you mean.
Yeah, and there was one.
What was it called? In the Valley or Valleys?
Maybe
the
Valleys.
Valley.
Yeah,
the Valleys.
And
the Valleys.
The Valleys, and then there was one mixed race girl. I remember she was on that show. Yeah.
More than there was in fucking Geordie Shore.
Very true, fam. And there's definitely black people in Newcastle.
Anyways, Essex. Actually, that's PSA. Where are the black people in British reality shows? Anyways, Essex, empty. Made in Chelsea, empty. The Valley, one. Geordie Shore, none.
Yeah.
Where are all the black people?
Where are they? Oh, we just had to put
that show that was on Channel 4.
The Black Life, the High Life.
High Life.
Yeah, that's the reason why they had to have
and
the High
had,
Life.
What, 1 episode? 4 episodes?
I think it was a couple of episodes. That was the reason.
They should have brought it back.
They should have.
Because I was interested.
But I think we are definitely missing the massive gap in the market of black British
and that's why
shows.
That girlie Lani did Badders UK, and that was not the step that we want to take.
Which one?
Badders. You know Baddies? You know the Baddies franchise in America? Natalie Nunn basically gets a group of girlies and they just fight.
Yeah, I didn't watch that. No.
So Lani Good did a UK version of that.
Okay.
And it's like a bunch of girlies. No offense to any of these girlies if you're listening, who I think are like internet famous.
Okay.
But like I'm just not in the scene.
No.
Unlike you.
Yeah,
I actually have a degree.
Oh my god. You want to start fighting.
No, but I'm literally joking. But like a bunch of internet people that I didn't know, and obviously Renee, who I do know, and the whole point of it is that you put them in a house and they fight each other.
Renee who?
You would know her. She's in like a lot of memes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry to that girl and to those girls, but I don't know who they are. But yeah.
Sorry to that man.
Sorry to that man too. But anyway, what else is happening in pop culture news?
BAFTA noms!
Woo! So yeah, the BAFTA TV Award nominations were announced today. Or were announced.
Very good.
Yeah. Any notable nominations for you?
Baby Reindeer's nominated a bunch.
Not surprising.
We were debating earlier whether we felt that Jessica Gunning should be supporting actress or leading actress. And I think that the BAFTAs, I don't know because I'm not a member of BAFTA, but I'm sure that there are criteria for what qualifies for each category.
Yeah.
It's interesting because the wife in Mr. Loveman is nominated as lead actress, right?
Yeah.
Even though she is playing a supporting role in the story of Mr. Loveman.
That's very true.
Why then can Jessica Gunning not get lead actress, who is also playing a supporting role in the story of Baby Reindeer? There would be no Baby Reindeer without her, right?
100%.
Whereas there would be Mr. Loverman. Well, maybe there wouldn't because she needs to have a wife, but there would. You could still tell the story of Mr. Loverman without the wife actually being a character on screen.
True.
So it's interesting what qualifies as lead, supporting.
Yeah.
And sometimes also what counts as comedy.
Oh, yeah, we've talked about this on many occasions because comedy is subjective. Comedy is like a scale.
Yeah.
And comedy doesn't basically have to be funny. Or comedy can be a drama. But for me, I mean, going back to the Baby Reindeer argument, I do believe that I would say that she was a lead alongside Richard Gadd's character because they both contributed to the story in equal amounts, even though I do understand that it was Donnie's story or Richard Gadd's story and he was driving it from a narration perspective, but she was the subject of the story.
Yeah, she needed to give a good, like, I think maybe that's the other thing, right? It's who needs to give a compelling enough, like, she needs to give a compelling performance in order for this whole thing to work.
100%.
Right? Whereas the wife in Mr. Loverman could have half-assed it. I'm not saying she does, but she literally could have. I genuinely do think she gives a great performance.
Yeah.
That episode about her is really compelling, and I think it only is compelling because she is such a charismatic and engaging like actress. Like she imbues that character with enough empathy that you aren't watching the episode being like, oh, let's get back to the main plot, you know? But that story stands up regardless of the performance that she gives, There is no Baby Reindeer without a convincing portrayal of Martha. There is no Baby Reindeer.
No. So.
Take Martha out of it. If it was just Richard Gadd telling the story, this could have been a 3-episode series.
Which is what you wanted it to be.
You needed the Martha, and like that was the thing that elevated it from the stage show. Martha is not present in the stage show. It's 100%. All from Richard's perspective. She turned Martha into a real person. You know? She gave you that thing of, oh, I can finally understand why he felt compelled to continue to interact with this person because they're a real person. It's not just like a weirdo online. It's someone at your workplace having conversations with you, complimenting you, like, you know, negatively, positively, sometimes reinforcing a connection that is not maybe healthy.
Yeah. So.
And only she could have given that performance. I think she will win.
I 100%
I actually just don't think it will be a question. I think she will win. But I also just found myself being like, you could have put her in the... I think maybe the reason why they didn't put her in leading category is because they knew that she would win.
Yeah.
And they maybe want to award someone else in that category.
And
because
when she won the Emmy, I think she was in supporting as well.
Yeah. Billie Piper is nominated for leading actress for Scoop. Put your hands up if you watch Scoop, first of all. And second of all, put your hands up if she was the lead.
She 100% was not. The lead was what's-his-face? The guy who plays Prince Andrew.
Yeah, and then the next lead is the interviewer. Who is worried about Billie Piper's character?
But I think it's because the whole Scoop is based on the story of the journalist at BBC, and that's what Billie Piper's character revolves around.
Who cares?
I know.
The actual film doesn't revolve around her.
Yeah. And you can tell in the actual contribution to the show, like, it's not Billie Piper's show.
It's not.
It really isn't. She is a name. But
it's actually, I think the casting of her was bizarre because it was such a small part.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone came to Scoop because of Billie Piper.
Yeah. And that addition of that character did not make it compelling.
No.
And especially when you compare it to the actual real interview that you're watching, you're like, but bruh.
Also, I just realised something.
Go on.
Scoop was a film.
Yeah, it was a film. And that's
why is it nominated leading actress?
Yeah, like, that doesn't make sense. Someone put that into the nomination, into the categories, but that does not make a single bit of sense. Oh, because it's a TV film? Is that still BS?
That should count.
It's still BS. It's still BS.
It should go in. She should be nominated for limited actress in limited drama.
No, but she should be nominated in the film category. The BAFTA films already happened.
No, because there's no way.
They were eating Scoop up.
Scoop isn't even qualifying for
any
of these categories.
No, at all. I will say that actually looking at the nominations, that there is a lot of nominations from streamers, like especially in the lead actor, lead actresses, and in the actor, just in the actor and actresses categories,
which is interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of streaming
drama and comedy.
Yes,
they are terrestrial.
Yeah, 100%.
So how are you giving the best performance in a drama, but the drama isn't good enough to nominate for best drama?
True. Honestly, I'm seeing Apple TV Plus, Disney Plus, Netflix, like, you can see it's an influx, even more than last year.
And how are you nominating a show for best drama, but nobody in there gave a performance that would stand out?
Very true.
It's a mess,
actually. It really is.
The more time we spend on this, the more I'm thinking, the BAFTAs is struggling, as with most award shows, because what constitutes each category is being bent out of shape, depending on who you want to win.
Yeah, true.
Because Scoop being nominated in a drama, in what is essentially a award show about a series is already question mark, because they have a category for one-offs, right?
Yeah.
They have a category for one-off, like documentaries.
Yeah.
They have a category for reality TV shows. Give it for one-off drama.
True.
Why are you nominated as with everyone else?
Yeah.
Bear in mind there is no other nomination for Scoop.
Yeah. And also, if you've watched it...
How can you say you watched Scoop and the best thing about it was Billie Piper? Yeah. Not to say that she's not good in Scoop. I'm just saying Scoop is not good, period. And sorry, sometimes as a result, if the film is bad, you're bad.
I'm so sorry. Everyone is a fault. There's no discrimination. Everyone gets it.
You're not. There's no way you're giving your best performance in a thing that's bad. Does that make sense?
That being said, in Eric was
he was the best
the actor McKinley Belcher III got nominated for supporting actor.
But he was the best thing in Eric.
I agree with you. 100% agree with you.
In Eric, which was not good.
It was not good at all.
He deserves a nomination because he was the only thing that even put this back on course of being something that would be worth talking about.
Yeah.
That being said, he's not going to win.
No, because in the category he has Arion from Mr. Loverman. You have a couple of the actors from Slow Horses, and you have Damian Lewis from Wolf Hall, The Mirror and the Light.
They're going to give it to...
Maybe they'll give it to Jonathan Pryce from Slow Horses.
I don't think they're going to give it to Jonathan Pryce from Slow Horses. I think they're going to give it to...
Damian Lewis.
I think they're going to give it to Damian Lewis.
Or Arian.
Or Arian.
Yeah.
and then maybe Jonathan Pryce. But they're definitely not going to give it to the guy from Eric.
Yeah, but I think
this is the annoying thing. Even if you gave a really good performance, if your show wasn't good, it's unlikely that you will win.
It's done. I do think that similar to
the nomination maybe is even enough. Maybe you're like,
true.
I've been BAFTA nominated.
That's
have
true.
you?
I mean, when what's his face? I was supposed to call him Record Man. What's his name? The guy who created Supercell.
Ratman.
Ratman. When Ratman.
What your grandma trying to talk to you about Supercell? What's his name again? Record Man. What's his name? Vinyl Man. Cassette Man. All right, grandma. It's Ratman.
I knew it was something related to music. When Ratman hears that Supercell has been nominated, I mean, all he needs to now say is, "I'm a BAFTA nominated creator." That 100%. Again, that's gonna keep his rates high.
I don't think they'll win.
I don't think they'll win either.
But your show with BAFTA nominated, exactly. And that is a big deal.
It's massive.
Bare people came out of shows last year, and they're not even in the running.
And I'll be honest, like last year was a struggle for TV, as we talked about.
That's why the drama series is literally four shows.
4 shows: Blue Lights, Sherwood,
Sherwood,
Supercell, and Wolf Hall, The Mirror and the Light.
Wolf Hall is a second season of a show. Blue Lights is a
second season,
if not third, or at this point third season.
Oh really? Oh wow.
Yeah. So the only things that are new here are Supercell and Sherwood. Sherwood is a one-off, I think, or maybe it will be returning. That's why they put it in drama series. Obviously, Supercell's coming back, so they put it in drama series. But those are the only two things that were new.
Yeah.
I also think sometimes maybe they should split those shows up. Like, they should have continuing drama and they should have debut.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I do think it's kind of unfair to pitch shows the first season of a show against something that is established.
But I would say that just given the industry and also just... I believe we're seeing such a reduction in new content coming out. I just feel like that's probably not going to happen.
Also, I'm saying that John Hamm was nominated for Mad Men every season and never won until the final season.
Wow. It's crazy.
Where they kind of felt like they gave it to him because they were like, we've taken the piss for the past 5 seasons.
We have to give you something. My last thing. Oh, actually, was there anything else you wanted to point out?
No.
My last question was around the memorable moment.
The
memorable moment. Which one do you think will win? The nominees are Bridgerton, the carriage scene.
I've not watched that.
Where Colin admits his true feelings for Penelope before they have sex. Second,
does it say before they have sex?
No, I added that part in.
That would be so funny if the person reading the nominees had to say when Colin declares his feelings to Penelope in the carriage before they have sex.
Before he plows her. Okay, next in the nominees, Gavin and Stacey, the finale. Haven't watched
the finale before he has sex with her.
Smithy's wedding, Mike stands up.
Which is the end of... I actually did see this.
Oh, have you? Okay, I haven't seen it. Next is Mr. Bates versus the Post Office. Joe Hamilton phones the Horizon Helpline.
Which I think is in the first episode. I might have seen that.
Next one is Rivals, which we've both seen.
Yes.
Rupert Campbell-Black and Sarah Stratton caught in a game of naked tennis.
No, that's not the best moment.
No, absolutely not.
The best moment is when...
What is the best moment, actually?
The best moment is when Danny Dyer and that woman has sex in the woods.
Oh my gosh, no.
That is so harrowing.
No,
it is like that was the point where I was like, this show is unhinged.
And can't wait for series 2.
Can't wait.
Next one is Strictly Come Dancing. Chris McCausland and Diane Boswell walks to You'll Never Walk Alone.
Yes.
I haven't watched it.
I think that might win.
I think that might win as well.
Because Chris won Strictly,
he did,
and he's blind.
And he's blind, yeah.
And every time he danced, it was great.
Yeah.
And I watched Strictly, and not every week I was like, how the fuck is he doing this?
Yeah. Do you know what? Because I've watched...
I couldn't do this. My eyes open.
Exactly.
And my eyes are open.
I've watched Dancing with the Stars, or especially when they had contestants who were deaf. And
they did that on Strictly too.
Yeah, they did that on
Copying
Strictly
us all the time.
They have.
Get your own gamut.
Come on. But I always think, okay, doing it deaf is hard, but you kind of like use your eyes
to learn the steps, right?
and try and just learn how
and
you
count
place
in
it.
your head.
Yeah. Whereas doing it blind...
God, I don't know if you're moving or you're not moving.
Exactly.
This is like
for
gag.
real. Be for real. And also...
And they're doing tricks as
exactly.
well.
Like he's lifting her.
I have to... Exactly. I have to just trust that when I put my arms up and I put my arms down, you're in the position you're in.
True. I'll be honest, it was incredible because when you actually deep it, it's Oh, yeah, it's incredible.
And also, as a person who's taking a dance class right now, you do not realise how much you don't think about your face when you're dancing. You especially wouldn't be thinking about your face if you was blind, because guess what? I don't see.
You can't see it. But actually,
to be able to perform in a way that's like, and I'm giving face like you're supposed to give face, crazy.
Yeah. And
I honestly think hats off to everyone who does Strictly, because
100%.
I've been doing a dance class for 4 weeks now, and I'm still like, huh? Every week I'm like, what the fuck's going on?
But
if you tell me how to get this dance down, maybe I probably could in a week, but like, no.
Yeah, but that's like, but also that's a full-time job
for them. To perform live.
That is nuts. It's nuts.
Actually, it's not live.
No. Strictly, it's not live anymore.
No.
No, I thought it was live.
No.
Oh.
The finale is live, maybe.
But not the show.
No.
Yeah. The last nominee was The Traitors. Paul isn't my son, but Ross is.
Oh my god!
I don't know. I haven't watched it.
Yes, actually, that was a gag of the century. That was a gag of the century.
Okay, so it sounds like is it like the "I'm not your mother, yes I am"?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
But better because it was real.
Oh wow. Okay. I do need to watch.
People had in the season. I'm not gonna say what season it is so you can enjoy it. People had rumors because this woman had red hair. There was a man who had red hair, and someone had made a joke like, "Oh, imagine if Paul was your son." Ha 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 ha. And she gets into the confession and she's like, "Oh, all these people making jokes about whether Paul's my son. Yeah. Well, I can reveal that Paul's not my son, but Ross is."
As a random dude.
Yes,
bro.
I said, "What the fuck?"
Okay.
First of all, now suddenly I'm seeing it. Now I'm like, of course that's his mom. But second of all, these people have not spoken.
Okay.
They said, "We're going in here. I don't know you. You don't know me."
Yeah. I love that.
And if she had not revealed, we would never have known.
Okay. So that's
Diane ate with that, but also Diane did a bit of racial bias I didn't love.
Okay, interesting.
So she's a hard. Overall, I think she's a great TV character.
Yeah.
But she was the person at the beginning of the series being like, I just don't trust him about all of the people of colour.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So out of all those 6 moments, what is the most memorable
I'm giving it
moment?
to Diane.
Okay, the Traitors.
Because as a viewer, I said this show.
Yeah.
Unmatched.
Yeah, I think I've only watched a few of these moments, if I'll be honest. It
is as good as the season before when the guy was like, he stood up and he was like, everyone thinks that I'm a traitor, but I'm not a traitor because Beth is my girlfriend. And everyone was like, what?
Oh my...
But the whole time Beth had been flirting with some next dude.
Bruh!
And it had been their little plan together, be like, yeah. You went over these people by being like flirty, sexy, girly, and I went over these people. And then people were starting to look at him crazy. So then he decided he was going to blurt out that Beth was his girlfriend because he thought that would make them trust him. But it did the opposite, and he went home that day.
Okay, good. Okay, well, I do think that from is a popularity contest. I think that one
of course,
like
it's voted by people.
Voted by people. So I do think just on that, it's probably going to be between Traitors and Strictly Come Dancing. Yeah. I probably will put it to Traitors.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
A lot of those moments aren't water cooler moments, but Traitors and Strictly are the only ones that stand as like water cooler moments.
I agree. I'm trying to think what would be my memorable moment of the year. I mean, I don't know. None of them.
Well, I can't even remember the year.
Neither did I. Neither could I.
Maybe my moment of the year was... my moment of the year was when they were like, Alex, are you aware of the faces that you make when you're arguing with people? What faces?
Is it from Traitors?
From Match. From Married at First Sight, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
I don't make any faces.
I don't make any faces. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, you fucking do.
Oh, my gosh.
Everything between Polly and that guy.
Oh.
Everything about
that. No, you called me a narcissist.
She called me a narcissist. That
for
sure.
Basically, any moments that I can requote.
The Benaya, girly, and that other guy, love triangle, where he's like, oh, the thing is, I'm so hot, people just don't, girls don't approach me. Girl, you are living on cloud cuckoo land. Even when I was at uni and the bar was in the toilet, you wouldn't have been the hottest guy at that uni.
Absolutely, 100%. But also, I think her face at the reveal was iconic. I'm so sorry, it's iconic.
It's as iconic as people tell me I look like Megan Fox.
Because I have dark hair and light eyes. Be for real, girl.
People tell me I look like Megan Fox.
Oh my God, that was iconic.
And sorry, my absolute all-time iconic moment is Amy. Sorry, not to bring up Love Island. Amy saying to that guy, "I've come back here to tell you I loved you." Perfect rendition. Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
those to me
iconic moments.
are iconic moments.
Yeah. This hard... I can't think of, like, one particular moment. But that being said, I do quote a lot from just TV I've watched from... we were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you.
How dare you! When my mother yells at me like this, because she loves me! Learn something from this!
Jesus, don't have... the way she's shouting... and the way she is shouting.
And the girlie as well face the whole time.
Yeah.
It's like,
what is
not
it?
too much.
Yeah, God, you're doing too much.
And of course, why am I in it?
Yeah.
Who said that?
Who said that? Who said that? There are so many Real Houses of Atlanta moments. Look at that white refrigerator.
Yeah, not a white refrigerator. Let's go find you a
husband. The ghetto. Bye, Ashy.
Go with the wind.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Who gonna check me, boo? Which I do think about, so I was like, who gonna check me, boo? What other moments? Real House alone has quotes on for days on end. I'm trying to think other ones. What that girl said, 265 days in the year. That was Portia. Okay. Yeah.
I don't watch a lot of Housewives, but there's just certain moments that stuck in my head.
Yeah.
I have so many Drag Race quotes that just live rent free. I cannot get through a conversation with my friend without us just going back and forth saying those quotes, because they're just iconic. Like, good TV just does give me that.
It doesn't.
Like,
it doesn't die.
You said earlier about the like, you're not my mama. It's like iconic.
Exactly.
Iconic.
The thing is, the fact that I even knew it. That reveal of that moment by using another example from EastEnders.
when also that line from Cat when she's like, I didn't just become a slag, I became a total slag. Like, that is so she's just,
oh God,
so much of her is quotable. So much of her is quotable.
Yeah. So, but anyway, that was the BAFTAs. And I think it's time for us to move to our review of the week.
Adolescence.
Mm-hmm.
Down. You're welcome to the acapella version.
Exactly. That's as much laughing as we're going to do right today.
No, I laughed the whole way through, actually. I thought it was hilarious. So we're talking about adolescence.
Yes.
A lot of people have been talking about adolescence.
100%.
We are going to be talking about adolescence
today.
Shoshana went into it, I would say, cold. Had you seen the trailer beforehand?
No, I just saw a few clips.
I had seen the trailer beforehand and I was excited.
I think you had expressed your excitement about this show from the very beginning, like beginning of the year.
Just looked, for once, it looked like a trailer that was like, oh, yeah, there's stuff going on. Yeah. I'm tired of seeing trailers where it's like, you're giving me all of the highlights of the show and it's still not even given.
Oh, God.
Whereas this was giving me highlights and I was like, and I want to know more. I want to know the context.
Yeah. And I heard some of the themes that were going to be covered, which I found quite interesting and slightly unique, because we don't see a lot about it in TV.
Or do you? So, Adolescence is a series produced by Warp Films. Also, for some reason, Plan B, which is Brad Pitt's production company.
So if you saw his name in the credits, that's why.
I didn't see his name in the credits, but Shoshana mentioned it to me today, and I was like, no way. And then we looked it up, and it was...
Yeah.
I mean, I will say this, of all of the celebrity production companies, that production company is making TV.
Oh, yeah, that one. And also Reese Witherspoon's one.
Yeah.
Just
some of these production companies are there for show.
Yeah.
Right? Some of them are just there because... you'll see their names pop up when the actor is actually in something. Yeah, but Brad Pitt's company have been on a lot of things that have gone on to win awards that he's not in any way involved in. So it's impressive. Fuck Brad Pitt though, because he put hands on my girl, and I will never.
That's the thing. That was the conversation. It was like the irony of just.
No, I would give. That's what I said. I'm giving props to the company because I know the company is run by regular ass people who don't hit their wives.
Bruh.
All their kids on planes. I can't believe he did this.
Yeah, no.
Let's not get into it, but I cannot believe he did this.
I don't know if they've still finished. They've still divorced. Oh, finally!
Yeah,
thank God.
Finalised.
7 years though.
Why would you do that to my girl?
Yeah, fam.
And to your kids?
Fam.
Mad.
You left Jennifer Aniston.
Do you think it's inherent to men? Like at some point you're just gonna be a villain?
No.
Because I just can't understand why you had the world at your shoulders. Why are you hitting a girl?
Yeah.
your wife.
Yeah.
In front of your children.
Yeah.
Being like, oh, I want access to my kids. They don't want to see you.
Yeah. That's the end. They've dropped all the pits for the name.
Anyway. Maybe don't hit your kids.
Yeah.
That's dark, though.
It is dark. And so is this show.
Perfect segue. That is dark and this is dark. So it is written by Jack Thorne and Stephen Graham. Mm-hmm. I think Stephen Graham conceived of the idea.
Yeah. I saw some articles of similar stories in the news.
Yes. What springs to mind is the story of Eliane Adam, who was killed on her way to school by her friend's ex-boyfriend. Mm-hmm. And when Shoshana and I first talked about watching Adolescence, I'd mentioned to her that I watched Adolescence all in one day, in one sitting. Don't know how healthy that was, but I did.
Same, I ended up doing the same thing.
And then the next day I'd watched a documentary about Eliane and Eliane's murder, and I literally wept. And I wept because I think that Adolescence had put, not necessarily into perspective, but like, had just really eloquently, like, abbreviated all of the feelings I had when I was watching that story unfold. Like, I remember seeing the news story of, like, 14-year-old girl get stabbed on the way to school, and I was like, what the hell is going on in London, right? Yeah. And then I watched a documentary and hearing about how, like, this boy had felt slighted by her friend and had woke up in the morning and packed a knife to come to the bus stop to intimidate them. You came there planning to stab someone.
Yeah.
And it just so happened to be this girl, and she's dead now. Like, she's dead. And I think what's crazy is the character in Adolescence is 13?
Yes.
He doesn't have a concept of life and death, right? The boy who stabbed Eliane was 17. I even think at 17 I don't think you really have a concept of life and death until it's something that you experience. So to take someone's life, it won't even hit you what you've done until you experience that thing, until your mother passes away, or your father, or a friend of yours, or a family member, for you to realise, I did that to someone, actually. I did that to someone. I shortened someone's life. And I think there's a clip of her memorial, and there's just, like, different teenage girls coming up, and, like, watching them cry, and I'm just thinking about, like, I was a teenage girl in London. We've just talked at length about being from South London. And I probably have mouthed off to someone before, been a bit cheeky, whatever. And to think that I never once thought, I thought my life was in danger in terms of, like, someone get rude to me, maybe I might get a slap. I never thought, I might not come home today. I might not come home today. That's someone's child, but even more so, that girl had an entire life ahead of her. That's snubbed out because you was upset.
And your pride.
And if we don't get under control this idea that just because you're upset, you can go and do something like that, we're lost as a society. We cannot function in a world where teenagers are not allowed to be teenagers because all they did was what their girls that we went to school with would do.
100%.
Get cheeky to a man. Get cheeky to boys that go to your local school. Of course you're going to get cheeky. What the fuck else are you going to do? This is all we do. This is all we do. And to think someone could have pulled out a knife and stabbed a girl that we went to school with. Do you know how that changes the way that you would move through the world? The way that you would interact with men, the way we would interact with other people. Like, so many people are scarred by that experience. And I felt like the other thing that, like, really jumped out to me in that documentary was the mum is not in it. Eliane's mum is not in it. Her aunt is. Her aunt says, sometimes we have to remind her mum to eat. And I said, that woman's life now as well. That is a grief that I can imagine you not ever getting over.
No.
And you was upset because a girl mouthed off to you. Like, where are we going as a society where men feel like they can and should punish women for not getting the result that they want from an interaction? You don't always get what you want. And as women, we learn that. And as men, you are told that you don't have to learn that because you deserve to get whatever you want. And I always think it's so gaggy when we talk about women as emotional creatures and men as if they're not, because they are actually the most emotional.
Yeah.
we are emotional and self-aware.
Yeah.
They are emotional and not self-aware. They don't think they're emotional. No. They think this is a logical thought in their head to pick up a knife and go stab a girl because she said, I don't want to be with you no more.
When we say most wars have been started by men, people think, well, that's a joke. It's not a joke.
People will say, how can women run the economy or run the country? They have periods.
Yeah.
When they're on the periods, they feel sad. Yeah. Do you know what I've never done when I feel sad? Stab someone.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never even packed a knife in my bag.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I've got my whole life. I've never put a knife in my pocket.
I'll be like,
in case I need it.
Yeah.
You guys, like, the disparity between men and women feels like it's getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And this incel stuff, the red pill stuff, the Andrew Tates of the world are what is fueling that. It's not actual genuine interaction between men and women. No, it's people telling you should take that, you should have that. Yeah. You're gonna let her talk to you like that. Yeah. She's a woman, she should be submitting to you. You're 13. Yeah. You're not even a man. No. Why should I submit to you?
Yeah. And that was what I found scaringly worrying about this show, and the commentary that is kind of almost left unsaid in the narrative, but got you as the audience to think deeper. And, you know, for context, we haven't talked about the premise fully.
We'll get into the plot.
Yeah, but let's just say that the way the series was written and acted out, it makes you think about the why. Like, where does this come from? And, you know, you see the perspective of the parents and whether they blame themselves. But what is very clear is that it was out of their control.
Yeah.
And to your point, there is so much narrative about men and women and the fact that it's starting from so young. And boys, because they're not men, boys are having these views of women. Many, they have not even interacted with a woman. Or if they do, and you get rejected, that means I must attack. It is crazy and it is scary, and it's a level of the internet that I'm not even aware of. I think it made it very clear that actually there is these underbellies of the internet that we need to be careful of.
Yeah, we are quite lucky as millennials, right? That like the internet really didn't properly become a thing. Yeah. Like the wide web, right? We had MSN, we had our emails, and then we had Facebook. By the time Facebook became a thing, we were 14, right? Yeah. So we did a lot of our formative years in your community. The fact that there are teenagers that go to the gym, teenagers that are worried about whether they're gonna get girls, whether they're alpha males, whether they're sigma, whether they're that language didn't even exist, right? When we were growing up, you were allowed to just be a kid. You were allowed to decide one day, I like video games, and then the next day decide I like girls now, and that was just
how it was.
It moved at your pace. Now, like the idea of, I think the thing that was stark to me in this is the idea that as a 13-year-old, you are already starting to process this idea that like there's a statistic they give that these like red pill people give, which is 80% of women are attracted to 20% of men. I don't think I knew a single statistic about dating.
Oh, growing up. Not
I don't think I knew a statistic about dating until I was in my 20s.
Yeah. When the only reason I know that statistic is through the online dating.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was in our 20s.
I had no clue how successful black women were at dating, how successful women of my age group were at dating, how like I didn't need to know that, right? Because in the real, like, you should gain your knowledge from the real world. When I go out at night, can I pull a guy? Yeah. That's what really matters, isn't it? I don't need to worry. If I can't pull a guy, I can't pull a guy. At some point you will. Like, I feel like the world used to be, everything is possible. Everything is within grasp. And then the more prolific the internet comes, and the more that we've come to rely on the internet, the more it skews your version of reality, right? And the problem is these kids are not speaking to each other even. They're not speaking to their parents. They're not... The internet is superseding reality. And there was a woman online talking about how she had red-pilled her son.
Oh, wow.
And one of the things that she said that drew her attention to what was going on in the beginning is that he said that thing about 80% of... He said, most women are gold diggers. And she was like, are they? He was like, yeah. He was like, who do you know that's a gold digger? And he was like, no one I know, but most of them. She was like, well, no, name one. Because if most of them are gold diggers, you should be able to point to a real life example. And obviously he couldn't. And it's like, well, if you can't point to a real life example of something, perhaps it's not real. Right? That was the first step in her getting her son to challenge the stuff that he was seeing online, because he was believing it 100%. And I feel like there is not dialogue, and I think the series goes a long way to try not blame parents. And I agree that you don't make your son a killer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't make your son a killer. But there are small things along the way, like they say, he was on the computer and he was at home, so we weren't worried about him.
Yeah.
Right? And so many people feel that way. My child is in the house, so at least I know he's not out here running with gangs, so I'm doing a good job. Meanwhile, you don't know what your child is consuming.
Exactly. And
so,
all nights, all hours of the day, he's on the computer. Even when you tell him to go to bed, his light was on. That was what I was saying.
I don't know what it is you're consuming, right? Yeah. So I don't know if you're online watching pornography all day. Yeah. I don't know if you're online watching graphic torture scenes. Yeah. I literally do not know what you're consuming. The only time I would ever know is if we had conversations, we spoke to each other. But if you're coming in the house, dumping your bag, going straight to your room, coming out, eating, go straight to your room, and there is no interaction, how would I know?
There's no relationship. Yeah.
How would I know? And the reason why I have a lot of sympathy for parents, because I think that the way that the world is structured now, and we live in the UK, so I can only speak from a UK perspective. In order to keep your head above water financially, you have to work all the hours under the sun. Like, part-time work will not bring you in the money you need to pay for your 2 kids and your house and your water bill and your electricity. So because you're working all the hours under the sun, when you come home, you're exhausted. It's now the time for you to start a 9-to-5 shift to be a parent. You can see your kid, he's healthy, he's eating, he's not causing no trouble. That's enough. I'm going to take a bath and go to sleep. And it's only when something bad happens that you realise, oh, I should have been doing more. But really, what more can you do?
You have no time to do it.
You have no time.
Well,
and the way society is structured is nobody gives a fuck about you having time either. Like, there's no thing at work where it's like, we're going to pay you your 4 hours, but allow you to do the things you need to do for your family. It doesn't work like that. So it requires you to either get to a place financially where you can afford to take some time off and be like, I'm going to be the parent that like takes you to soccer game. And I know there's probably parents listening to this, but like, well, I can still do both. I love that for you. I'm really, really glad that you can do that. But there are people that work more than one job even, who are coming home, sleeping for a few hours, getting up to go to their nighttime job. When are they supposed to sit down with their kid and help with their homework and see what they're looking at on the internet and this, that and other? It is not sustainable.
And I know there's even more controls that people are trying to include in terms of like the internet access and, you know, internet safety, but it's so hard to control and regulate that for children. It's not sustainable at all. Like, even me doing an innocent web search, I could land on one site and not know what, like, how have I landed on this site, which has got banner ads and pop-ups of things that I don't want to see. Now imagine if it was an innocent child who was just trying to find a game.
When I was at uni, I can't remember what I was researching. I think I was researching something for uni, and I want to say within 2 or 3 clicks, I found myself on a white supremacist forum.
The heck?
It was called like Stormfront or something. I didn't know what the title didn't mean anything for me. Now, as an adult, because I've heard people reference it before, I think it's something to like it's like a World War II Nazi reference. I wouldn't know that. And the comments were like veiled like racism, you know. And I think I had scrolled through it for a while before I was like, these messages feel a bit weird. Like, what is this? And then a couple messages more, I figured out it was a white supremacist forum. And I said, wow, and that's just on the internet for you to Google.
Free of charge.
It's not on the dark web. It's not behind a paywall. It's not behind a password. You can just jump on the internet and find other quote-unquote like-minded people. And if you're a kid, I feel like the other thing that people underestimate is sometimes when you're a kid, you're curious about stuff. Yeah. It doesn't mean that you were looking for racist content. It just means you were curious. Click, click, click. Now you're on this page. This is kind of funny, I guess. This is kind of weird. This is kind of thingy. You write a comment. People like the comment. Next thing you know, you've decided this is a community you want to be part of.
It's true. It's that easy. It's that easy, and it's scary. Honestly, I do always thank God that we were born in as a millennial. We have been able to see the change in technology from like cassette players all the way to DVDs to TV to the internet, and then to where we are now. We've seen it, the growth, but also we had times when we can go out and play in the park or go and play outside. Like early this week, I could hear noise outside my house. Look through the window and I could see kids playing in the street, and I wasn't worried about them. I mean, I was a bit concerned that if a car comes, they're going to be safe. But I actually felt a bit of relief because I rarely see kids play outside, and that's something that we used to do. Anytime it was sunny, you will see us outside. You'll see the ice cream van come out. Like we were able to touch grass literally because we weren't so attached to our phones. We weren't so attached to the technology, and it meant that we could be kids. That's what scares me about the next generation, is that the freedom to have the naivety of being a child.
In addition to that is like, I'm hearing stuff on the radio, right? I don't have anything else to help me fill in the gaps. You are listening to a song on TikTok, you are getting the visuals of the video, and it's someone in a bikini shaking their ass. Like the meaning is kind of implicit in that moment.
100%.
And so if you grow up seeing women, like, I sometimes think it must have affected me to some extent. The like video vixens of like the 90s and early 2000s, right? Like these women who, nameless, but you'd see them in like multiple videos and you would look at them and be like, wow, like there's something aspirational about this. But equally, like, this industry is dominated by men who are successful and talented, and then women who dance in videos.
Honestly,
who you'll never know.
Exactly. I was watching Real Housewives of Atlanta. They've just rejigged the cast, and one of the girls, or one of the women, was saying, "Oh, she used to be a video vixen when she was in high school." Now, if she was in high school, do the maths. She was a teenager, and she was saying,
a child.
Yeah, she was there saying it in, like being proud. Like, yeah, I used to be a video vixen when I was at high school. And I was like, that's not something to be proud of, girl. That's something that is going to be part of a documentary in the future.
And I also think, I think the thing that, you actually probably did consume from the video vixen era is this idea that, like, to qualify as a video vixen, you had to be light-skinned.
True. You
had to have long hair.
True.
You had to have your eccentric features.
Also true.
You had to be slim, but have a bum, have boobs. Like, that stuff will be ingrained in your head as, like, that is the epitome of what a woman ought to be, right? And that is us saying it as people that, like, could also still go outside and touch grass.
Yeah.
Imagine if that's all you've ever consumed of what the ways in which men and women relate.
Yeah.
Because those women would be rocking it up in the video, and that's it.
That is it. You don't. There are no names, no faces. Sometimes no faces. You're just seeing backs.
Yeah.
You're literally just seeing back. I don't know. And then now, like, okay, rewind fast forward 20+ years, and you still get some of the pop girlies. All they do is shake their ass in front of the screen and play their
But
music.
at least they are singing their songs.
That is very true.
That
is true.
It's crazy to admit, but, like, this is still progress, because Meg Thee Stallion is the rapper in the Meg Thee Stallion. She's not some girlie shaking her ass in someone else's video who you don't know.
That is true.
There is something about that is actually genuinely groundbreaking for the fact that, like, I am the rapper.
Yeah, there is true.
How edgy and cool is that? Because there was barely anyone doing that in the 90s and 2000s. Even, like, rappers like Eve, she wasn't shaking her ass in the video.
No, she wasn't. Actually, no, she wasn't. She was fully dressed.
Because you're not your currency as a video vixen makes you a lower status. You can't have people take you seriously as a rapper and also be shaking your ass in the video.
True. So, I mean, I can't believe we got to this tangent.
Yes, but all of that is to say, the stuff that you consume online, when you don't have those healthy interactions in real life, and sometimes those interactions don't even have to be healthy, just any interactions in real life, starts to colour what you think is acceptable and what you what you think is acceptable about the world. I think we talked about this a while ago, but like I think maybe when we were talking about like how if you spend too much time on TikTok you will get an idea of the world, right? And there was a period of time where I was on TikTok and every other person was talking about interracial dating or what black women need to do if they want to find a husband, and it was making me genuinely depressed. I was like, oh, based on these TikToks, I'm never gonna find love. And then I turned the app off and I went about my day and suddenly I was filled again with this optimism. And it was true. Like, because if that is all you're consuming, that is what you're gonna start to think. And I think the lesson in Adolescence and the lesson in all of these things, and I think Stephen Gray said this was his thought behind that. The show was like, people do not know what it is their kids are consuming. Yeah,
it's very true.
And it is changing childhood and quite literally adolescence for those kids. If we were not able to fuck up and make mistakes and look wild as teenagers. Imagine if we had Instagram when we were at school.
Oh my lord.
It was bad enough that we even had Pixo sites.
I don't even know what that. Yeah, I did.
Or Bebo, or or even MSN. Like you would have your profile picture. Like that was intense enough.
Yeah.
Let alone people posting to Instagram, and people posting stuff from at school that you're in the background of. Yeah, now you're getting dragged in the comments. What the fuck?
Yeah. I'm kind of grateful that we also didn't have money like that. Like we didn't have money for a laptop.
Money for phone. Money for laptop.
No, the phone I had was a brick.
The phone I had had no credit on it ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Never talked to
That was the thing. So, like, I have to be grateful for that, because...
Yeah, and now it's just the norm that you would get your child an iPhone. It's just the norm that your child will have a contract. What am I giving a child a contract
for? Like, but then it's also, like, the flip side is, like, the safety aspect.
Yeah, where is my child? I don't know.
And that is scary, I'll be honest. Of just, like...
Well...
The things that you read in the news about safety for children, and then you give them a phone that will help them be safe, and then they are potentially carrying something that's so dangerous in their hands. It's scary.
So actually, one of the things to come out of this was Jack Thorne, who's one of the writers. Him and Stephen Graham wrote this together. Has launched has promoted an online pledge that says children should not have smartphones until they're 14.
That's such an interesting approach, yeah.
Yeah, he said that he signed the pledge that says children, he's not giving his children smartphones until they're 14. Yeah. Which I think is interesting because I had a brick when I was in primary school.
Same.
Probably had a brick even when I was in secondary school. I think I got my first remotely smartphone, and it was nothing like an iPhone.
No.
But I got a Motorola Sidekick or whatever when I was in sixth form. Yeah. Like all people were using their phones was to BBM anyway. Yeah. And to BBM boys, I don't know any boys, and I don't want to BBM them. Yeah. And also I'm 14.
Yeah, exactly. What do you need? Just go to school, come back, get your grades, and oh boy, I sound like an African parent.
No, but for real.
Honestly, just go to school, come back. Maybe, have fun with your friends. Come and read your books, and get good grades. And then, after you've finished university, then you can talk about boys.
I'm gonna be cooler than that and say I feel like the problem sometimes is the implication that an interaction with a boy is gonna be romantic or sexual or anything like that. I would encourage my child to have male friends because I think that's a healthy thing. You should be able to see men as equals or friends so that you'll know when you found someone that is someone that you want to be with, because it's not just that they're not giving you the bare minimum because you already have the bare minimum. You've got male friends that would die for you. So the man coming into your life, you've got your dad, you've got your brothers, whatever it is, and the man coming into your life needs to match that and do more, rather than you have no contact with men, and then the first guy that's like, hey, you're like, wow, we'll be married.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, that guy's a bum, and you have a kid with him. Too late.
True.
But I was going to say something about you saying the thing about feeling like an African auntie. I was on the bus on the way here today because I decided to get the bus for some crazy reason. Oh, because I wanted to go to Marks and Spencer's. And so it would have been 6:30, and there were schoolgirls at the bus stop, and I was like, what are these kids doing outside?
Yeah, but...
And then I thought about how that was literally the time that we would have been at the bus stop as kids, and I was like, it's crazy because I really didn't think anything of it as a kid. And these kids are just hanging out. But at the same time, I feel like a panic already of like, why are you not at home? We're getting close to the time where it's like, and now my kid is out and it's 8 p.m. I don't know where they are.
Yeah, it's getting dark as well. Like, get your ass out. Get your ass at home.
Get in the house.
It's crazy because I understand some aspect of parents who like have that, who are very fearful, and I think there's an African parent thing as well. Like, there's some things that they say, and some of it's just rooted in fear versus anything else. And I see it. I see it and empathise with it, but I don't want it to be my story. Yeah. But then that being said, you are inundated with so many crazy stories that happen in the world that it definitely worries me. It definitely does. And I don't know.
It's a tricky thing. I think you've got to really manage that fear safety thing, because sometimes you are projecting onto your child fears that they don't need to have.
No, and it limits you. Like I remember the time when I started like traveling when I was younger. Like I was in my 20s, but I was solo travel, and I would get comments like, you need to be careful and this. And I've solo traveled many times since, but if I listened to those things, even the most recent trip, if I listened to every single reservation about going outside of Europe, I think just traveling outside of Europe, I hear more things like, you need to be safe, this can happen, I would not want to go anywhere.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Honestly, I would want to just stay at home. I felt the same way when I went to Asia. I was like, oh my gosh, is it going to be safe? But I would never leave my house if that was the case.
I think that like nothing crystallized that dread and that feeling of dread that I realised I've been living with for a really long time than the pandemic.
Yeah.
Because it was suddenly externalized. This like, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this and go here, and don't breathe and don't go. And it was like, that's how I feel actually about a lot of things that other people do all the time and don't feel that kind of dread. Yeah. And it really made me start to think like, okay, so where has this dread come from? Because like, I've never even done this before. I don't even know anyone who has done this. Why do I already feel like we all die? You'll die if you do that.
Crazy,
and I don't think that fear always protects your child.
Yeah.
Because some people hear that fear and they go, oh, don't fuck that, I'm going to do it anyway. Yeah. So it's like, it's not always, it doesn't always have the impact that you think it's going to have. But back to Adolescence.
Yes, sorry.
So we will quickly run through the plot of the show right now.
Yeah.
So there is a young boy. We open. So one of the aspects of this show, God, it's hard to talk about what order to talk this in, is that every episode is one continuous shot. So if you're not familiar with the way that TV shows or media is edited, most of the things you watch are multiple shots spliced together, right? Like most of the things you watch take place in various settings with various characters, and you just jump in and out of each of those scenes. And a good editor crafts them together in a way where you don't feel like, oh my god, another one. It all kind of feels smooth and like cohesive. But the alternative to that is you don't cut to another shot. Everything happens in one shot. So one of the most famous examples, I'm going to say one of the most famous examples to me, is the first season of True Detective. Towards the end of the series, there is a raid on what they think is like a drug house, and from the point where the police leave their cars and burst in to these flats to the point where they get back to their cars is all one shot. So the camera is behind, I think it's Woody Harrelson's character, behind him, following him in, because the other dude is undercover.
Yes.
So he's already inside, right? So the camera is behind Woody Harrelson's behind Woody Harrelson, and we are following him in and out of each of these stash houses, looking for whatever he's looking for, but also trying to find and communicate to them Matthew McConaughey's character that the raid is happening and he needs to spit, right? And the tension is at an all-time high because you don't have a break from it. Every time they kick the door down, you're not getting what you usually get, which is a cut to whatever's going on inside of this room. You are with Woody Harrelson's character experiencing whatever is behind that door at the same time, right? So you were on the edge of your seat, experiencing everything with that character. In Adolescence, it's very similar. You come in episode 1 to a house being raided, right? Yeah. You're with the police officers. The police officers are played by Ashley Waters and Faye Marseille, I want to say.
Sorry. I had it ready. I had it open. Faye Marseille. Yeah. Yes, Faye Marseille.
Faye Marseille is also in 10 Man Bombs. Okay. And Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Yeah. She's very cool. I think she's good in this. Anyway, Ashley Waters, we'll come back to him. Ashley Waters and Faye Marseille are these police officers conducting this raid. Mm-hmm. They burst into this house. You are coming upon a family getting ready in the morning. Mm-hmm. The dad is played by Stephen Graham. There is a mum, there is a daughter, and there is a young boy who is 13. And that is who the police are looking for. Yeah. And they say, we are arresting you because on suspicion of a serious crime. They don't say what the crime is, but they take him in. Yeah. His and his sister follow afterwards. We follow them. We're with the boy in the police van. We get to the police station. He's then bundled into a room. The parents arrive. His dad comes in and is his
like designated adult.
Yeah, there we go. So that he can be searched by the police and that they can take swabs. All the time they're not saying what it is he's done, but it's a serious thing. They get into the interrogation room now. It's him and his dad as his designated adult and a lawyer. Yeah. It's Ashley Waters and Faye Marseille. They finally start to reveal what they think has happened. And they believe that this young boy
called Jamie
went to see a girl from his school the night before.
Called Katie.
An altercation happened and Katie subsequently died. Jamie is like, I've done nothing wrong. Yeah. And actually a colleague of mine pointed this out to me today. The phrase that he repeats is, I've done nothing wrong. He doesn't say, I didn't do it. He says, I've done nothing wrong. Which is really haunting when you think about what you come to learn by the end of that episode, which is, after asking him a bunch of questions, they show him CCTV of him. He is outside. Those are his trainers, which he said is his trainers. That's him on the CCTV. They then show him speaking to Katie. They have a argument or something, and then he repeatedly stabs her. Yeah. I play this footage, and I think the first thing you see is Stephen Graham and the boy's reaction to the footage before the camera pans round so you can see it, and it is shocking. Yeah. It's especially shocking because you spent the whole episode with him saying, I've not done nothing.
And I think the way that also the setup of that episode is like, he's a young boy, he's 13, he's innocent, he's basically trying to say, like, he couldn't have done it.
What they're subjecting him to is inhumane.
Like,
he's a child.
When they raided the house and they burst down Jamie's door and he had wet himself.
He's in a spaceman. His bedroom's got like decorated from outer space. He's in outer space, bed covers. Yeah, he couldn't look more like a child.
He looked like a child, and the real actor's only 14, so it's not massively different in the age of the actor. He is really young. They found him like in the street. And in the street.
He'd actually stabbed someone.
Yeah, they found the actor like either through random casting, like
they do a lot of street casting.
Yeah, street on the street. So he is as young as the character. And then throughout the whole episode, he's like, oh, he's just so young and this must be a mistake and, it just can't be him. It can't be him. Like,
what can a 13-year-old have possibly done to require a SWAT team to come to his house?
Yeah, exactly. Even the
which even now kind of does seem a bit excessive when you think about it.
I had...
SWAT team?
Yeah. But also...
When they arrested that boy who stabbed Eliane, he was just walking around in the street.
Yeah, and they grabbed him. But I think what I found more interesting, and maybe we can talk about it in the next episodes, but... is the fact that murder happened the night before. Yeah. And the raid was 6 a.m. in the next morning.
So they had got the CCTV, known it was him, and then said, now to do the paperwork. You can't just do a raid.
Yeah, they were doing paperwork, getting details from the school as he was already in custody. Which I was like, is this realistic? But maybe. But I think that episode 1, the way that they had sown seeds about his potential innocence and the fact that he did look like he is a child. And I'll be honest, because he's white, and we'll probably talk about race as well. Like, I think that added to the fact like he couldn't have done it.
Gag to me.
He's an innocent boy.
It's so funny.
Baby boy.
My mindset was the police don't kick your door down for nothing. You've done it.
True. Whatever it is,
true. You've done it. But I didn't know what I was expecting him to have done. Like, I thought it would be framed as more of an accident. Like they were arguing at the top of the stairs and he pushed her. Yeah. But he
legit
attacked her. And you don't know why. You don't know, like, when he planned. All you know is they have a conversation. She walks away from him. She shoves him, or he then shoves her onto the ground. She's on the ground and he stabs her repeatedly. And then went home.
Yeah.
And got in his bed.
Yeah.
And went to sleep.
True.
And his parents didn't notice.
Not a single thing.
Nobody on the street noticed.
No.
Which still doesn't actually, even by the end of the series, I was like, they never really explained that. If you stab someone that violently, you would be covered in blood.
Yeah. But I think they insinuate in the next episodes that he goes to see one of the friends and must have gives him the knife. But then his clothes, he must have like got...
But also, what about your hands? What about your face? Like, you would get blood spatter on you.
Yeah. That part was...
They talk about blood spatter so much in police cases. Yeah. Like, even if you think you've done a sick job of killing someone and a speck could be on your trainer, you're done.
Yeah.
Anyway, I will say this about episode 1 and the single shot thing, because this was my feeling across the whole series. The single shot worked for some episodes and didn't work for others.
100% agree.
This episode, for me, it didn't work.
Oh.
And I would say the reason why it didn't work, this is my big theory, having watched the whole thing. Multiple sets, like multiple places in the one single shot thing doesn't work for me.
Okay.
I found myself at the point where they got to the police station, I was like, how long is this episode?
Okay.
Because I think the good thing about a cut is it creates pace, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Based on how quickly those cuts come is how quickly that episode is moving. And so without that as an indicator, I was like, I have no sense of time. I don't know if this episode has gone as far as it needs to go, because it hasn't. We do not know what he's done yet, right?
Yeah.
But I want to get out of here. Yeah. And maybe that was the point. It's like, I feel uncomfortable. Something clearly, there is a discomfort.
Yeah, the tension's building.
And I don't know if it's because I'm like, just tell us what's happened. Just tell us what's happened. Yeah. Or if I'm genuinely like, please cut to something else.
Yeah. Okay.
So there was a moment where Ashley Waters goes in to talk to the family. Then he leaves. Then the camera follows him, but then it follows someone else, and it takes it to... And I was just like, oh! We've got to go on this stupid fucking journey so we can get back to fame. I was like, why? When we could just do quick cut?
Yeah.
I understand what they were trying to do. I found myself being like, this is a long episode.
So I'm going to contrast you on this, because I actually thought episode 1 was relatively well paced. Now, I'm coming in knowing... I knew a bit of the premise. Like, I knew that it was going to be about a boy who about a boy and a murder case and a girl being murdered. Like, I didn't know if he was definitely guilty. So I will say that. I didn't know that was the case. I also knew that there's going to be themes that we'll talk about in the following episodes. And I also knew that it was going to have a whole one-take approach to the episode. So I was kind of excited to see how that was going to come to life in one whole episode. So I thought it was relatively even paced, especially compared to some of the other episodes where I felt like it was dragging. And when you told me when we met up before that when you watch Adolescence, there was times when you just wish someone just shouted cut. I didn't feel that with episode 1. I definitely felt it on the finale episode.
Interesting. We'll get there.
Because we'll probably talk about it later. I definitely didn't feel that's the case. I do agree there was some times when I was like, wow, there's a lot of like see the back of people's faces.
Yeah.
Which, perfect. You
and
love
watching people walk places.
Yeah, which I kind of get. When the first time it happens, it's like, oh, this is a really interesting cool execution.
Doing a raid.
Yeah, it is, and it makes sense and it feels very immersive. And you like gaming. I feel like he has that kind of approach. Like you're being immersed into this world. And I will say 2 things. One, Ashley Waters has a big back, like a strong back. Because the camera caught it on many occasions. I was like, bruh, he's been in the gym in that. back.
Don't call him Ashley D for nothing.
Ashley D for nothing, no. And then so that was one of my distracting thoughts, which I think was probably like distracting from the pace it was taking. And there was times when they were in the car and I was like, how long is this police ride for? But I understood the premise and I could see.
I love how I didn't even finish that thought.
Yeah. But I got it, and I actually do think after watching episode 1, I was like, this, single take approach does work. Like, I really liked the way it was executed, and I didn't have as much issue with the pace because I thought it was actually relatively paced well, especially when you got to that ending point.
Yeah, it worked. See, in the ending, and that would have just been.
It would have, yeah.
Extending that shot would make sense because even the way when we cut from the video to Jamie and his dad, the shot of Jamie and his dad at the table, and his dad looks at him and is like, "What did you do?" Yeah. And then bursts into tears, and the camera is on them. You stay on them.
Yeah.
I was like, "That's the power of like making a decision to hold a moment, right? Because you need to be in this. I am looking at this man and I'm like, yeah, you fucked it, Jamie. Yeah. To be honest, you've absolutely fucked it. Because your dad was coming in here ready to fight for you, support you no matter what. But you've done it. Yeah. I look fucking stupid.
Okay, and then after that, once we saw what happened, and I'll be honest, the gasp.
What, you were like, oh! What, Jamie?
What the heck? Because I was still like, I'm on the fence. I don't know if he did it or he didn't, but I know something's going to happen. After I saw that he had done it, I was like, what's the rest of the episode going to be about?
So, do you know what was really interesting?
Go on.
Again, I was talking to a colleague about this. They said, I didn't know if he'd done it.
After episode 1?
There were some people who saw that scene and were like, I don't know what's going on. He said, and to be fair, I see this because you don't see him holding the knife, right? You're seeing him from the back doing this motion. Yeah. He was like, I thought he was punching her. He thought the story was gonna be, he punched the girl a couple of times, but he didn't kill her.
Oh, interesting. Because I get it. Like, I don't get it fully, but I understand that you didn't see the knife.
Yeah.
But and also because. And this we can talk about it in later episodes, because we don't get a lot of perspective of Katie. Mm-hmm. Like, we don't even, apart from the photo, we don't see her. We don't meet her family. We don't even see this crime scene.
No.
So even then, like, that doesn't allow us to illustrate or like really add colour to what happens apart from a black and white video. Mm-hmm. So I get some of that, because even when the first moment when she fell on the ground and he went down, which would have been him stabbing her for the first time, I was like, oh, what's going on? And then when I could see the continuous motion, I was like, oh, he did it.
Good.
It's not good. Like, he's done it. But I think because we didn't get the extra like context of the murder scene or seeing Katie and or even a photo of her being murdered, which I'm glad that we didn't see.
I think they made the right decision not to.
100%. But I think that for the more sensible, not to say your friend, no, but I think the people with the imagination will understand what they were seeing.
Or people like who are familiar with these kind of shows, like if you've seen a crime show before, right? Like, it's interesting because I wonder if, to the point that you were making, which was like, if he's done it, what the rest of these episodes are about. His brain was like, oh, maybe he hasn't done it, right? Because we still have 3 episodes to go. And maybe the mystery of the series is, did he do it? I think a lot of people came in thinking the mystery was going to be, did he do it?
So I thought the same thing.
Because as soon as I saw the video, I said, oh, he's done it. And now the series is about the fallout. And I've watched shows, and we've all watched shows like that, where you come in and you know what the bad thing is from the beginning. Now you're watching, what is this going to do to everybody, right?
Yeah.
And that makes sense now why the series is only 4 episodes long, because you can't stretch that out for 6.
No,
the mystery's been solved. Like, it's interesting. I watched a retrospective about Broadchurch, and I was like, Broadchurch is 6 episodes, but Broadchurch, we don't know who's killed that boy, right? So that is what you're here for, the mystery, and you also get the fallout. Whereas this is just fallout. And you go into episode 2, and we're at the school. And this episode, I'm gonna be honest, was the weakest for me. I found it. Okay. Yeah. I found this episode to be sprawling and less focused to me. Like, them coming to the school to be like, we're here to find out information. What information? Like, it didn't feel focused to me as into, like, what is the goal of this episode? Just to ask some kids some questions.
Yeah.
Like, how do you know when you have achieved asking the kids the questions?
Yeah.
When do we know when this episode will be finished?
That's true.
And there was something about Ashley Walters' character in this episode. I liked the texture of his son and his relationship with his son, but I also found him to be quite dismissive and like, I don't get any of this stuff, which is weird for a detective trying to solve a murder of a teenager, going into the school to speak to the teenagers and being like, don't get it.
Yeah.
Bitch, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Your job is to collect information, not for you to be passing judgment. So the bit where his son is even quite literally spelling it out for him, he's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
I was like, oh my god.
When I saw that scene, I get your perspective, because to me it was like, okay, Ashley Walters' character, the detective, should be really curious about this. There should be a level of inquisitive, like, I want to find out what's going on.
Use your fucking phone as well. Yeah, exactly. Do some research.
Because when he was showing the text messages to Jamie at the interrogation room episode before, like, you could tell, like, oh, he seems to know what he's talking about, because he's, pointing at the things. But I also...
then got to the school and was like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah, true. But I also felt like it was supposed to be a representation for the audience as well, because, perfectly honest, that moment when the son is, like, spelling it out to him, I almost had my own little like light bulb moment. I'm like, oh my gosh! I think these are things that I've never heard about before.
I think you can have that without Ashley Walters' character being dismissive. I found him to be quite dismissive, like not curious enough. Yeah. Whereas you can still have that moment where he's saying, "Listen, I want to understand, right? I've got this part of the puzzle, and I've got this part of the puzzle, but it's still not making sense to me. What do you know?" And then it's the son coming in with that clutch information that brings this whole thing together. But there was just something about it that felt very like, oh, here you go again talking about your internet things. Yeah. Why are you showing me an Instagram post if you don't care about internet things?
Yeah, and I think it's also that whole dismissive angle was supposed to kind of describe the disconnect in their relationship as well. Yeah, I know,
but it was also just like, here comes the adults just being like, I don't get it, the kids.
It was too on the nose.
I don't... Most of us, maybe not Ashley Walters because he is older than we are.
Yeah.
But there are people who are our age who have teenagers.
Yeah.
Right? Because you know about the internet, I cannot imagine that you would go into an investigation like this and be like, there's nothing you can tell me about the internet.
Yeah.
Girl, your internet's different from my internet. Yeah. My sister's internet's different from my internet, and she's only 6 years younger than me. You need to tell me what the hell this stuff means. Yeah. And then I will be able to follow it and grasp it because I know I have like a vague sense of the internet. But he was given, back in my day, we used dial-up phones. Meanwhile, you're voice noting your son at school. So you obviously know how voice notes work.
Yeah. I think it would have been more interesting if the son had asked the female detective to have time with Spirit.
She had nothing to do in that episode. She had nothing to do across the series as a whole, which made me be like,
what was the point?
Somebody was talking about this in terms of like, oh, the way that she's treated at the school is reminiscent of the way that women are treated, and I was like, oh, they just couldn't be asked to write.
You don't think? Because there was that moment when the teacher was introducing the detectives, and she just says, "Oh, this is Ashley Walters' character," and then completely misses her and was like, "Oh, and so and so."
Yeah. And I mean, also there's a discomfort that she has being at the school, which they don't completely unpack. Yeah. But she was just like, "Oh yeah, I didn't like school growing up." I was like, well, actually, it would have been a perfectly poised if you really want to underline that point of her being like, "Did you not think that was weird?"
Yeah.
When we came, like, ever since I've walked in here, I've been invisible.
That would have been very interesting.
Yeah, and you could do something really interesting with Ashley Walters' character being like, "No, you weren't."
And he could have been dismissive then.
Exactly. Yeah. So we just know, as a person, he has his view of the world, and he's going to stick to it.
That's it. And I think that
instead of her sort of just gloomily walking around the school and be like, "I want to get out of here. Yeah. I'm a woman detective. I wear open button shirts and t-shirts." Like, I was like, I don't even know what the hell you're trying to do with this character, but like, work.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the last scene that she's in. Yeah. I would say the thing that I've been hearing online, and actually, as someone who, my sister is a teacher, I've gone into her school and I've had a lot of praise of it being like a really realistic depiction of how secondary schools are.
That school looked shit.
Oh, that school looked
If that's
rough.
what schools look like, forget it.
Yeah, like I'm
homeschooling my kids.
The thing is, it's honestly a real honest depiction of probably a very bad school, but it's a depiction of how schools in the UK looks like.
It's a gag because, like, can you imagine if that would not have been the case if that was our school? They would have put us all in assembly.
Oh yeah.
The police officers would have came in.
Oh yeah, 100%.
They would have made you stand up if you knew the girl. You would have stayed behind.
And then
they would have spoken to each other, and you would not even had the option of being like, I don't want to talk to the police.
No, absolutely not. I would say some of the acting was a bit patchy in places with the kid actors.
Name one, because I feel like maybe we think the same person.
Katie's best friend.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Crunchy.
It just was,
the delivery was making me confused. Because I was also what did you like her? Did you not like her? What's
exactly.
the vibe?
Also, where's she from?
Don't worry about it. I was even asking myself, where is this set?
Yeah.
Because you've got Stephen Graham's character, thick Liverpool accent. The wife, thick Liverpool accent. The kids, no.
Even
Ashley Waters.
Yeah, don't.
Faye Barclay's character. I said, where are we?
We're somewhere up north, but up north.
It's a gag.
Up north, but there's loads of southerners.
It's giving, and Jack thought is not a northerner. This is how southern people write the north. Just somewhere in the north. It's chilly out here, isn't it?
Oh my god,
that's what it feels like. Because I could not tell you where they was.
No, it doesn't.
I think it was in episode 4 where they say something where the mum's like, we can move back to Liverpool. And the dad's like, no. And I was like, okay, so we're not in Liverpool. Yeah. We are officially not in Liverpool.
Maybe they're in Manchester or something like that.
Yeah, I feel like it's somewhere in the Midlands.
Yeah, like Birmingham and Manchester.
I think maybe even the dad said something to the son, and I'm like, but what's even happened here?
Actually,
where you and your son both live in the Midlands, but you don't live with the son. And you guys are both not from here.
Yeah,
so wait, you all got up from London and came to the Midlands, and then you got a job as a police officer. Then at one point you talk about in our city. Our city? Who's our?
I don't look, honestly. The good thing is we were not supposed to focus about it.
It was bothering me though. I would be lying to you if I said that it was watching a show and hearing 3-4 different accents.
Not knowing
where are we? It does. That's when I start to think, where are we?
But also, maybe that whole thing.
If there was one continuous accent, I wouldn't ask that question. Even if there was 2 continuous accents, I would understand why you went. Ashley Waters can't do accents. He's going to play a guy from London. But there's like a third guy with a third accent. Yeah, true. Fourth guy with a fourth accent.
Their focus was one continuous take. They didn't have time for one continuous take.
You guys say what you want to say.
Do whatever you need to do, because, perfectly honest, we need to get this shut down.
The script? Forget about it. Are you happy or you sad in this scene? Doesn't matter. Do what you're going to do. You're Kate's best friend. That's the focus.
So, the episode, I didn't find that episode the weakest. It probably was like the second to last. There's only 4 episodes to go by. I think if we're going to rank it, I would put episode 1 above this one. I found this really confusing. I think the best parts, honestly, it's weird because I think the kid acting wasn't fantastic, but the most illuminating parts were when it was just the kids interacting. True.
When the 2 friends were like, "Are you going to say anything?" Or like that was because the police officers have no information.
True.
We are learning nothing from the police officers. They're us in this situation.
Yeah.
They have no info. So I felt like, stuff is happening when we were with the kids. I think there was even a point where the camera's moving, following one kid in, and then there's like 2 kids sat down, and then they get up, and it follows them into another place, and then we end up with the friends.
Yeah. And
I was like, that feels like school. That's the thing that feels like school, right? You're constantly interacting and passing people, not even realising. And that is how we will get to gain some information about this boy, because we don't know anything about him.
No, we don't know about her either.
We don't know anything about her. And I still came out the episode being like, I don't know anymore.
Yeah, same. No, I mean, apart from this episode was the episode where we actually introduced the theme of the manosphere and the red pill community, and I think that was crucial.
Is, again, at the 45, 50-minute mark of an hour-long episode.
It was late.
What did we do for the first 45 minutes?
We went to school.
For what?
We just so you can see London School. I
That
mean,
one
wait,
teach-
not London School.
The
A school in the north.
amount of lessons where they walked in and the teacher was like, right, I'm going to put film on. I was like, what the hell?
But that being said,
It's
again,
with a wet play.
accurate depiction of school.
And you're not even a supply teacher.
True, yeah, that was the guy that walks in. The teacher that walks in
Late.
late.
And then it's like, right, let's put the film on.
What the hell? Oh, they were like, oh, sorry, he's a trainee. I was like,
He's not doing any work.
No. So
He looks like he just got here. Not even like he just came to lesson. He looks like he just got to school.
So I think it was interesting, but it dragged a little bit. I would say it wasn't executed as well as episode 1, but it was good that we started to get the theme of the manosphere because it really helped set up episode 3.
Yeah, and then there's
the conversations.
Yeah, there's a point at the end of the episode as well where Katie's best friend beats up a boy, which I guess is to show like this is what's happening in the schools. The girls are fighting.
You said it was about the fallout. It wasn't, but this is the fallout from a school perspective.
But that guy got his shit rocked.
Yeah, fam.
And that I think is the implications again. This show is inspired by so many stories where women have gone on to be, or young. Stop even calling them women because they're kids.
Yeah.
Kids have been killed by other kids.
Yeah.
And a big part of that is, like we were saying earlier, pride being her stomping the shit out of that boy. We could have come back to season 2 and it's her murder. Because she's
scary.
What she's done in front of the whole school is beat the shit out of you.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do now? You're gonna have to come to school and fight her.
True.
And now you'll become a guy who beats up women.
Yeah.
And people would argue, well, she should have put her hands on him. Well, you're being disrespectful about my friend.
Your friend killed my friend. That's what she literally had to say before she beat him. Anyway, we move on to episode 3.
We move on to episode 3. This, for me, was the strongest episode of the entire series.
Yeah.
It was the most illuminating. It was the point where the tension in the single shot made sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, that room became stifling the more time we spent in there. I think the boy who plays Jamie gives a fantastic performance, even though he does flub a line, and they clearly use that take, which I really liked.
Is that when he repeated the question again?
When he stood up and he said it, and then obviously he flubbed it, so he said it again. And for a moment, you saw like the panic in his eyes of like,
crap, this is... do you know what? I know we're going to talk about episode 3, but just the single take aspect, I think it will sharpen you as an actor.
100%.
It's like it's being on stage.
It's foreplay.
You have there's no opportunity to make mistake, because if you make mistake, you're ruining it for every single person who. Imagine if you got right to the end of the episode and you flubbed your line.
They did. I think they said something like
I read it about the takes.
They did 30 takes, and it was like take 13 that they ended up using.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, every time you flub a line, every time anyone makes a mistake, even if you don't, I think they make you play the whole thing through, and then you just will start again.
Yeah, because you have to.
Which is chaotic, by the way. Like that's how you put people in psychiatric wards.
Yeah, like let's do it again, let's do it again, let's do it again, let's do it again. And I'm like, the heck? Okay, so
they said they shot this in 30 days.
Yeah, it was not a very long shoot. So in terms of the episodes. Oh, I have someone who wrote a list, like a little summary.
Who dare beep?
No.
Who dare beep me?
Alright, okay. Sorry, I'm trying to... Let me take okay. So, the plan was to do 10 takes of each episode, 2 a day for 5 days. That didn't always turn out to be the case. Sometimes we had to stop and go again, and that was 1 take. So for 1 episode, we did up to 16. Episode 1 was take 2.
Nice.
Episode 2 was take 13.
Yep.
Episode 3 was take 11.
Okay.
And episode 4 was take 16. So...
This is throw that paint on the floor 16 times. Who was queuing that up?
I was thinking the same. I thought that maybe they had 2 bands. So shot on shoot.
They had to have more than 2 bands. If you're doing 2 shots a day.
Did they only have 5 shoot day 5 or 5? Or maybe they have 5.
They do 2 shoots per 5 shoot days per episode. Okay, and 2 shoots a day.
So
but they must have had extra days.
They must, they probably.
Because if you've got shoot 16,
they probably
take 16, then you had extra days.
They said they needed. Oh, sorry, where was it? I just had it. Okay, so they said, for apart from episode 1, which was shot on the shoot day 1 of 5, all the other ones were shot on the 5th day of the 5 day. Yeah. So, yeah.
4 episodes, 5 days. So they shot in 20 days.
20 days.
No, they didn't.
You think they did more?
30 days. Yeah, 30 days. They lied to us. How can you have done 16 takes if you're doing 2 shots a day for 5 days?
But also they're probably doing rehearsals and stuff.
No, for sure. So how have you got a 16th take if you're doing 2 shots a day for 5 days? That's 10 shots.
Yeah, but he did say that was the plan, but it didn't always go to plan.
Yeah, so some of you guys had 10 days.
Yeah, so it didn't always go to plan. Yeah. So, sorry, I jumped in, but...
Yeah. Episode 3 for me... And I think the reason why episode 3 worked for me with the single shot and the tension, because episode 3 feels the most like a play.
True.
1 set, 2 actors. Mm-hmm. Okay, there are moments where she comes out to speak to the bodyguard. There are moments where he goes out, whatever. But ultimately, we have 1 set. And the dance between these 2 characters is tense already, right? Because they already had a relationship prior to us coming into this. They had met before. He has been in prison now for a year.
I think so, yes.
Or like 3 months or something. I think he's been in for a year at that point. Oh. The trial hasn't happened. He's been in juvie for a year.
Yeah.
So he's not the 13-year-old boy that we met when we came into the series. And her job is to figure out if he understands what he did, right? Yeah. Because that's the difference between him being tried in an adult court or a child court. Yeah. If I don't have a concept of what death is, how can you put me in big prison? True. But if I'm saying, I meant to kill her, or I meant to punish her, or I meant to stab her, any of that stuff, that's murder, you're going to prison, right? He reveals himself to be a volatile and manipulative little prick.
That's the best way to describe it.
And also still in keeping with a child, you know? Like, it's not... They don't give him the, like, Sherlock spiel where he's suddenly, like, a master genius. No, he's a 13-year-old boy who understands that you're not supposed to tell people your manosphere thoughts, right? You're supposed to present to someone the way they want you to present to them. And initially, he thinks that he can gain something from this psychotherapist, who is a woman, by the way. Yeah. He's in prison, so I doubt he's having many interactions with women to this point. And that she might be able to get him a lesser sentence or get him things that he wants. Like, she gets him a hot chocolate right at the beginning and she says, oh, he likes hot chocolate with sprinkles at the top, you know? And it's like, well, I'm sure that he doesn't get that luxury. Yeah. He only gets it in these meetings. But equally, there is a part of him that wants her to like him. And there is a part of him that wants her to fear him. Yeah. And those two things are constantly conflicting with each other. Yeah. And I think that is maybe a good distillation of what draws people to the manosphere. Like, all of that stuff about, 80% of women are attracted to 20% of men. The message there is, you either need to become one of the 20%, or you need to find a woman who you can bully into accepting you as is. And I think the stuff with the incel, all of that incel stuff, whenever I remember there was a time where I was on Reddit, like, reading, or maybe I was watching a documentary where someone was, like, reading off, like, the messages on Reddit, and it'll be like, I'm 24 and I've never kissed a girl. Grow up. You realise that people dying. People are dying, Kim. Yeah. It is very that.
Yeah.
It's very that. Like, I'm 24 and I've never had sex. At this point, I just feel like I never will. You're 24. You have a good 80 years ahead of you. Relax. Meanwhile, you are a person in a basement. Typing on your computer. Do you leave the house?
No.
Do you work? No.
Do you wash?
Do you talk? No. Do you wash? No.
Do you go to gym? No.
Why would anyone be attracted to you? And the thing about it is, these men will be like, it's just so unfair because I was not born attractive. Lots of us weren't born attractive. You're not born attractive, you're born a baby.
True.
you have to take care of yourself, honey. And the same way that these same men who are typing that, they don't want an average girly.
Yeah.
They want Kim Kardashian.
And I think even when we were watching Married at First Sight last year, and even every Married at First Sight, the nothing men will be like, but she's not attractive.
You look like a thumb.
Yeah, but she's not
talking
like...
about, my type is petite brunette.
But she's not, but you yourself...
Show me a picture of one petite brunette that you dated. Show me a picture of one.
The same guy, he finally did his little glow up. And now he's like, I'm going to chat to, what's her face? The blonde girl from Married at First Sight UK.
That girlie is average and has also done work on herself. You are two average people who've done work on yourself to become slightly more than average. And then you ended up together. So guess what? You could have done this, saved the money, and got together before.
Exactly. I don't
deeply
know.
Insecure.
He's
You're
really
both deeply insecure. And that is why you're together. You just want someone to be, I'm pretty, tell me I'm pretty, I'm pretty, tell me I'm pretty. Most people, wake up in the morning, look in the mirror and be like, I look like shit. Then they take a shower, they brush their teeth, they comb their hair, put some earrings on. They're like, hey man.
That's good.
I'm pretty cool.
Look, you don't have to do the extreme morning routine like that guy.
No, you don't.
But,
it's not that complicated. No. You have no hygiene routine. Yeah. None. Talking about, it's my parents' fault that they gave me bad genes.
Huh? Do you know what? It's really crazy to think about.
Go to the gym.
Yeah.
If you, like, the thing is, and when I say go to the gym, I'm not saying everybody needs to have gym body, because I actually don't. That's not what I desire. But going to the gym will make you feel good about yourself. You get endorphins from training. You can take yourself, hey, I might be in the house 24/7, but every Friday from 5 p.m. to 8, I'm in this damn gym. Gives me an opportunity to meet people. Gives me an opportunity to be in reality and not spend all day on my computer. Like, you need a culture shock sometimes to remind yourself that your view of the world is not the only one. That's how you get into those thought patterns. That's literally how you get into those thought patterns. When you start to believe that the way that you see the world is the only way to see the world, that's when you start to think, no one will ever love me. I'll never amount to anything. I might as well just leave this earth.
Do you know what? It's such a scarcity mindset. And do you know what's even more crazy? It is men's world. It's a men's world. There are more women on earth than men.
Literally.
That means...
you can have your pick of the flock.
100%. We see those men who are 6 at best hitting with those nine women. Honestly, the world is yours. But you don't want to.
All you have to do is cut your hair,
fam, and have a shower.
Cut your hair, have a shower,
brush your teeth.
Don't be a prick.
Yeah, it's so easy because the bar is so low.
It's so low.
All you need to do is do the bare minimum.
You guys, they act like it's this impossible task. You've got to climb a mountain. No,
it's really
women will talk to most about anyone.
Yeah, and
I will have a conversation with anyone. I might not marry anyone, but I'll at least have a conversation with you. The fact that I'm going to have a conversation with you gives you a chance. Be fucking cool when I speak to you.
Just
be a chill dude. Don't be weird. Don't be like, please, I would do anything to have sex with you. Be normal. Show me that, you have a life that you enjoy.
And it radiates from
that you would like to share with someone else.
Come on.
Be a normal human being.
I think
it's so tiresome. That storyline of like, I have to be this guy because girls only want to date chads. Girls only want to date bad boys.
Oh my gosh.
There are so many people who are not with bad boys. It's just a lie. It's a story that you've told yourself because what you want is Kim Kardashian. And Kim Kardashian was with Kanye, but you're not Kanye.
No, and Kanye really...
And he's not even Kanye anymore.
He's not Kanye anymore.
But that's not the point.
Another story.
You want what the linebacker has, but you are not a linebacker.
Yeah.
And then you're mad that you're not a linebacker and you think the fault is the woman. Rather than the fact that you are not a linebacker.
Do you know what I do?
You don't play basketball.
No, I believe that a lot of this manosphere, incel behaviour and just culture has grown or has been steadily been growing because of the lack of education with men. Like it is.
What, they can't do? The boys can't read.
The boys can't read. I'm so sorry. Like there are statistics when it comes to education where women are excelling in education, excelling in their careers, and when you look at the demographics and the statistics when it comes to education, those who, finish school, those who finish with certain grades or just with certain qualifications, the boys are behind. The boys are behind the girls, and it is
because the boys take their education and their place in society for granted.
Yeah, and
that is why.
And it replicates what's going on now.
We're all raised, we've talked about this before, we were raised by women for whom getting the vote was new, being able to open a credit card was new, having a job and having a family was new. And so they instilled in us, do not take what you have for granted. Don't take your education for granted. Don't take your career for granted. Don't take your future for granted. Because 2 generations ago, you would have been at home, knocked up, washing plates.
Mm-hmm. True.
Regardless of what your mind was capable of, that's what you'd be doing. Yeah. And that is why women do not take for granted their education and their careers. Yeah. Men, on the other hand, have made it this far by just going, well, we're the only ones that work, so it's fine, I can just go into my work, piss about, drink all day, smoke cigarettes, come back home. I don't have to do anything. Yeah. And now that they're seeing that you are competing for this, you're competing with me for a job, and I am better qualified, and I'm more pleasant to be around.
Yeah.
I'm going to get that job. Yeah. And now your sense of self is rattled. You don't even know who or what you are without these old stalwarts of, I work, I bring bacon back home for family, I feed them, my wife clean for me. Without those things, men genuinely struggle to find themselves. And we've spoken about it so many times. Like, this thing is an underlying theme in every dating show we talk about. These guys who are like, I feel like, my position in the house should be this, your position in the house should be that. Because they don't know any better. Yeah. The reality is, because things haven't progressed for women, things can progress for men. You guys just won't take the leap. Yeah. If your wife is working now, and that means you don't have to have the pressure of working day in, day out, what would you like to do at that time?
Sure.
What kind of household do you want? What kind of future do you want? You have the same questions that we have, but for such a long time you haven't had to think about it, that you don't have an answer. You don't even know if this is what you want. And in the meantime, women are passing you by because we've had time to think about it and we have a sense of what we want and we're going after it. And you guys are just floundering, looking for any old thing to be like, yeah, the answer to my life right now is for my wife to be submissive. If my wife was submissive, my life would be... You feel rootless. Yeah. You don't know what makes you a man. That is the problem. My being submissive to you will not answer that problem for you. You will just end up resenting me even more. Yeah. And still feeling rootless. And then going out fucking anybody that moves and still feeling rootless. All of that stuff, all that behaviour, all the cheating and the getting a bunch of people pregnant and starting all these business and conning and this and that and all the crime, even the crime, is because you don't know what you ought to be doing. And so you just think you should be doing something. Yeah. And it's sad. It honestly is sad. But we cannot solve that problem for men. Men do need to come together and say, ultimately, there's a couple of us that are giving us a bad name. And if we don't rally together soon, the marketing of men will be in the toilet forever. We will not be able to get it back. Yeah. The brand, Men TM, it's not doing good. What can we do to boost this thing up? Instead, you guys are actually boiling each other up to say, yeah, the problem is women. Yeah, the problem is women. Meanwhile, the same person who's saying that to you is going home to his wife. He's getting on the internet telling you should be looking for a model, a fashionista, and this and that. And then going home to his very nice, average wife. Yeah. Because most people don't even believe the shit that they're saying. They're saying it because it gets numbers, it gets views.
That's crazy.
That's why they do it. People are going to make the decisions that make sense for them. Yeah. If you can't think for yourself and you're going to become the sheep, I'm going to profit off the sheep. Why would I not? Yeah.
So episode 3 highlights so many themes. Yeah. And it really breaks the facade. If someone thought, oh, it couldn't have been Jamie, by the time you watch episode 3, you'd be like, no, it's definitely 100% him. He shows so many levels of emotions, and like you said, he was volatile. Like I was nervous. At one point, I just was like, now I understand why my parents would have beaten me. Because I would have wanted to beat that child so hard.
That's crazy.
I am so not to. I don't condone violence or child abuse. No, but I mean in the sense of like train up a child in the way it should go. Use that rod of correction. Because I'm really sorry. The way he was talking, I was like, there is no way you would have left your house. There's no way you would have left my house talking to people like that without having a rod of correction.
But I think that's what's the gag, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think those parents did not know.
Yeah.
Or would not think
that he would behave like
that. He would behave like that.
No. And
because well, listen, we weren't in the house with those people, but based on the way that these people interact, even with their other daughter, the way they talk about him afterwards, I can tell that they were very careful about creating an atmosphere at home, right, where you did not feel like this is how people speak to each other. That's not to say that he didn't hear them speaking to each other in other rooms like that. And I think that was another thing that you highlight. Like the question that the therapist was asking him, like, what do you think of your dad? What do you think of your granddad? Do they ever get angry? And he was like, yeah, my dad gets angry all the time. Now, I'm sure the dad thought, I'm doing a good job because I'm not angry at you. I'm never angry at you.
Like, I'm not hitting you.
But if you're punching walls in the house...
True.
What are you telling me about what's acceptable as a man?
Yeah. If you're talking to the mum wild... Again, it's showing a visual.
Even those uncles who are on the phone beefing their brothers and sisters back home about the house. That's how you speak to your siblings.
Honestly, the day that I saw my dad, I thought he was talking to his mum. I thought they were arguing. They were telling me they're just having a conversation. I said, but you cannot. And then I've heard him how he's spoken to his siblings, and I'm like, you guys speak to each other like this.
Gag.
I mean, the heck?
Gag.
And if I ever spoke in the same tone and manner to my sister or my brother, you would be shouting at me. Be for real.
Gag. I remember as a kid seeing my uncle get so mad at my nan that he walked out of the house. I remember being like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy to me. This is a situation where you have... I mean, no, my nan, you have created it. But, like... Yeah. To get it to this point where someone's slamming doors. We're slamming doors in the house.
And these are adults.
Adults. And if you set that example, is that not in some way going to go in your kid's head? Even if you think, my child is smart enough to know not to do that. You don't even understand how your subconscious works and what it places in things for you. And when I lose my temper, next time I lose my temper, I'm going to lose it in the exact same way that you lost yours. Yeah.
And saying do as I say, not as I do is not good parenting. No. I'm so sorry. Like I know I've joked about it because it's been said to me on like funny occasions, but in the grander scheme of things, you need to teach by example. Yeah. Now it's easier said than done. It's very easier said than done, and I'm not gonna blame Stephen Graham's character for what Jamie did at all. But there is definitely influences. There's no doubt about it in his formative years of showing how to behave as a man and controlling your anger. Because the way he shouted at that therapist, I was scared. I thought he was going to hit her at one point.
Yeah, so did I. There's a quote in episode 4 that this brings to mind, which is maybe we'll move on to episode 4 now.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I was going to say the last point in episode 3, which I think was the most chilling part, was like about when he's talking about Katie, and after we learn a lot more about Katie and Jamie's dynamic, and Katie I think had an ex-partner or ex-boyfriend who leaked nude photos of her. Yeah. And that's when, she was very vulnerable at that time. People were teasing her, and Jamie had asked Katie out. She had, declined and pushed him away and said, no, I don't want to go out with you. And then Jamie said something along the line of like, well, I could have hurt her. Basically, he's trying to imply that I didn't do anything wrong, to what he was saying, but also like I didn't touch her at that time. like other guys could have done to her.
Yeah, he said, one of the other things he said, she should have been grateful because nobody else wanted to touch her at that time. And I thought, like, I was doing her a favour reaching out to her, and for her to push to deny me, it's like, who the fuck do you think you are? That's what upset him. Yeah. I've reached out to you because I think you're easy, first of all. And also, you should be grateful. And you're in a vulnerable position right now, so it's a great time for me to swoop in because I don't think I'm one of the 20% of men that 80% of women find attractive. Bear in mind, this boy is 13.
Honestly.
Why are you as a child even, like, aware or unaware of how attractive you are? You're a kid.
But again, it's what you've seen online. Like, this is... When you're online, you are seeing a pinnacle of what is beauty.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
And it is instilled in your head too early, right?
So early. And then
because, sorry, there aren't a lot of hot teenagers.
No, and you're not supposed to be hot. You're supposed to just be a teenager and live your life.
There aren't a lot of hot teenagers. I don't know if you've seen a teenager before, but you actually are probably the weirdest looking as a teenager because you're literally like the adult you is kind of trying to burst out of the child you, and you just look a bit weird. Like, I remember distinctly going on having the summer holidays and then coming back and then being like 6 inches taller than I was.
Fam, I remember that too. I was like, who's this girl?
And now I'm just 6 inches taller than I don't know what to do with this. I don't know what this is for.
And we say glow up for a reason because you do start from nothing and then you glow.
A caterpillar.
Yeah, exactly.
Go through the whole cocoon, come out the other side to be a butterfly.
And it happens to everyone. And the pinnacles of beauty that you're seeing today, half of them are made up and cosmetic or AI. One of the three.
Like we said it before, I do not know what I would do if I was being bombarded with images of girls that look like, who are my age, who look like supermodels.
Yeah, but then the girls trying to make themselves look like supermodels now. Go.
I put on eyeliner in year 11. I thought I ate down.
Yeah.
I said no one's ever been this sickening.
Done.
And that's how it should be.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be worrying about, so I'm going to get some buccal fat removal and then I'm going to get a rhinoplasty and then I'm going to...
The heck?
I just think it's crazy because you don't ever have the time, and we've talked about this already when we talked about plastic surgery, but you don't have the time to get familiar with your face, right? Yeah. And there are so many things I remember being like, I hate this about myself, that now that I'm familiar with my face, I'm like, there is actually nothing wrong with this. It was just new. And I didn't know what to do with it, and it was scary, and I didn't understand it. And now I'm like, this is kind of like, I can't imagine my face without these things. But I never had the time to if I had not had the time to do that, baby, trust and believe, my first paycheck, I would have gone and got work done. And it's not crazy.
And the girls are doing that, and it's so crazy. And that, like, we've spoken about the plastic surgery topic, especially from a person of colour perspective. The features that you were teased about at school are the features that people are paying thousands to have. That's all you need to know. That is all you need to know. The fact that the lips you were born with, the cheeks you were born with, the nose you were born with, people out there looking at you as a reference point and paying through the nose to get your feature. I wish... hindsight is, again, the whole thing of hindsight is 2020. When you're a teenager, your mindset is so limited. You think that 25 is old. Bruh. Like, that is not even old. And I wish... because we don't have hindsight to know that actually what we think will be important then is going to have nothing or no impact in your life in the future. When you have your CV, do you even put your GCSEs down? And some of the girls were crying over their GCSEs. Yeah. It's just like bigger picture. But again, it's hard. It's hard to tell a 13-year-old child that.
I think it's really insidious as well. Like, even thinking about this is a little bit off topic, but what you were saying about your features... The most insidious thing is that it will be girls that look like you.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Being like, well, my nose is not as big as yours.
It's so crazy.
Okay, bitch, but when you walk in a room, they think you're me. So what does it matter? Like, we're competing amongst ourselves for people that are going to turn around and be like, nigger! It doesn't matter, bitch! Obviously, there are problems within our own communities with colorism and featureism and all of that stuff, right? That is, again, just our internalized white supremacy. But I think it's an interesting and important conversation to have because I actually saw a video today from a young black boy who was talking about how he had fallen into the alt-right pipeline, right? And he said the beginning of that was feeling ostracized from his community. And I think about this a lot because as I just hinted at, but like even I would say the majority of my negative experiences at school, at secondary school at least, came from other black girls. Like, I never had an interaction with a white girl that rocked my self-esteem because, like, sorry, how could you rock my self-esteem? You and me are not in the same league. And I'm not even trying to be like, I think I'm better than white people. It's not that. We are literally competing. We're playing a different game. And I felt that all the time as a kid. Like, I never thought, you and I are playing the same game and therefore we're equals. No, we're playing a different game. What would hurt me more are the girlies that we're supposed to, like you said, we're supposed to be kinfolk. And meanwhile, you're saying, but you're not really like us. And this boy was saying that, like, you know, he, like, again, I roll my eyes with this, and it's like something I have to work through because everyone's experiences are different. But I remember there was a boy that went to my church, and he was black. And he was telling me, he actually started dating a girl that went to our school, and she was white. And I was surprised. I didn't know anything about, like, I didn't know what his type was, but we were quite friendly. He'd never once mentioned being attracted to her or anything like that, right? After the fact, I was like, oh, what, like, drew you to her? And he was like, well, you know, I like anime, she likes anime. I was like, what, only white girls like anime? Lots of people like anime.
What specifically?
What is it? He's like, yeah, but, like, most black girls don't like me because I like anime and I like listen to rock music. And I was like, I don't think that's true because I listen to rock music. I'm not an anime girl, sorry. But, but like, if I do that, there are probably other girls who do that. But you've already come into this with the energy of like, no one's going to understand me because I'm black, but I'm not black. And this boy was saying he, you know, similar characteristics, but more so he said the focus was he felt ostracized by the community. And so he would go online and he would see people talking about black people negatively and get involved. Because it was a way for him to sort of exercise his feelings about like, yeah, black people aren't nice all the time actually. And maybe sometimes black people aren't victims. And maybe racism isn't real. And that's how he fell into this alt-right pipeline. And he was saying, the thing about once you're in is you will find these white people really teeing you up. But the reason why they're teeing you up is because you are a member of the group that they're trying to abuse and belittle, who is parroting the stuff that they're saying. So you are legitimizing the argument. And that's what they want you for. They still don't see you as a person. And that's what made him then come back out, is like realising like, oh, these people don't actually care about me either. No.
You are a face on, and also you're able to infiltrate if you really want to.
Yeah, exactly. These people don't care about me either. And he like talked about Candace Owens as well, which all of that stuff was really interesting about how she had been, she'd done something and a bunch of black people online, black liberals online had like dragged her for it, and then all of a sudden she came out being like, I'm conservative. I don't believe in equal opportunities for black people. And like, it always feels like it's a reaction to you being ostracized by the community or you being made to feel not part of it. And it made me think, okay, all of those things, which I was very lucky, like it really never really shook me to be like, the problem is inherently black people. It did make me wary sometimes. Like, I would be lying to you if I said that like I walked into every situation where it was like a room full of black people and felt like I'm gonna have a great time. No, it did make me wary sometimes, but I was lucky that I had black friends. I always had black friends that I was like, oh, there'll be someone here who's my person. Like, I don't think everyone in the room's gonna love me, but some people are gonna like me.
I think when you go into when we went to the same school, I think it was very clear, and I was very fortunate that we had a lot of people of colour in our cohort, that it showed there are differences in us. 100%. There are black people who love X, Y, and Z. There's black people who love R&B music. If we're just talking about music, for instance, there's black people who love R&B music. There's black people who love rock. There's black people who love garage,
house.
Like house. Like, it's varied so much, and I'm so glad to be able to see so many different variations of us.
Yeah, maybe.
So, to your point, so I knew that if I was in a room full of people that look like me from a race perspective, we're going to, one, be different because we are individuals, and two, I will find my person, I'll find my people. I may not get on with everyone, I'll be cordial, but I'm probably going to be more affiliated to certain people because we have similar tastes.
Yeah.
And it's fine.
I think I may have taken that for granted. Like, because I still felt like, I still did have those unpleasant experiences, but I always had put it down to those were unpleasant girls.
I mean, they were as well.
They were unpleasant girls, but always the thing that they could jab me with was like, yeah, but you're basically, you wish you was white. It's like, but I don't know why you've got that idea of me, right? Yeah. And it did, I would say, if anyone ever made that comment, like I remember not too long ago, a friend of mine, I know this is going to sound crazy, but a friend of mine made a comment like that, like as a joke. And I was like to him, I don't find that funny. I'm not taking it personally at the moment, but I just think it's so base. It's such a base joke, and like it says more about you
100%.
That you I feel like threatened by the way that I express my blackness, that you have felt pigeonholed into how you have to express your blackness, that you now feel like, I can always say to you, but you're barely black.
Yeah, I think...
And this person has made comments about this more than once, and I've said to them, I said it to them once, and I'm not going to repeat myself, but I just think it's so telling to always go to like, well, you're barely black, You cannot take my blackness from me.
100%.
You actually can't. 100%. As we said before, when we both walk in the room, they're calling both of us niggas. It's never going to change. So you're not going to tell me, but I'm blacker than you. Bitch, no.
I think also, when I've had those comments as well, but it also makes me think about the person who's saying it, that they have a very limited mindset of what black means.
And they are insecure. I think, honestly, you are insecure about your blackness. 100%. You think, this is how, the way that I express my blackness must be the only way. Yeah. Otherwise, am I even black? I don't have that. I don't have that agonising thought, because I actually understand inherently I'm always going to be black, and I always was black. Even if I'm doing, quote unquote, the whitest shit in the world, I'm a black person doing the whitest shit in the world. I'm always going to be a black person. I'm never going to walk into a room and people be like, black? I thought you was white this whole time.
That's one of the quotes as well, going back to TV. Black.
Black.
That I use on a regular basis.
Zach.
Yeah. No one's in the room going to be like, black? Really? For real?
Yeah, like, it's not a gag. It's never going to be a gag. So, like, all I can think is that you still think that this is a way we can police each other, keep each other in line. This is how you should be black. This is not how you should be black. At the end of the day, you don't pay my bills. You don't get to tell me shit about how I live my life. And same way, I don't come to your house and start being like, is this what you, this is what you, that's not black. That's not from black. That's not how black.
Yeah.
Then people were black before us and people will be black after us.
Yeah, and also,
bitch.
what does black mean? Oh, sorry, anyway. That's a bigger, deeper story.
But all of this is to say, this leads into episode 4.
Yeah.
There is a point that our black king,
Ashley,
Stephen Graham.
Oh, we need to put context in this. Please just...
No, we don't.
Go
do your own research. Okay. Go do your own research. I'm not about to explain to you why he's black. I'm telling you he's a black king. It's time for you to go and do your own research. I'm not going over it with you guys. We just said, what makes people black? I've said he's black, period. I'm not about to discuss it with you. He doesn't have to get his birth certificate out. If I've said he's black, he's black.
Just research.
If I've said he's black, he's black.
Please Google, please, I beg. So we're not making this up. Please just Google this.
If I've said he's black, he's black. Period.
Yeah.
I know who's black and who's not black.
Yeah, please.
And I would never say he's black if he wasn't black. Anyway, Stephen Graham says, my dad used to beat me. I never beat him.
Yeah.
What more did he need from me?
Yeah.
And it made me think about, like, a lot of people have been dragged up, right? They weren't brought up. They weren't raised. They survived a situation.
Yeah.
And they think just by not perpetrating what was done to them, they are a quote-unquote good parent.
Yeah.
What this show highlights to me is the responsibility that parents have, which is honestly overwhelming. I think more than anything, this is a horror story for parents. Is that it is on you to be monitoring your kid 24/7, but also to teach your kid what everything is. It's your job to teach your kid what a man is, and you can't teach him what a man is by the absence of something.
Yeah.
Well, I never hit you, so therefore you should know that a man doesn't hit people.
Yeah.
That's not how that works. You have to teach your kid a man is caring, a man is understanding, a man is a supportive partner, he's a good dad, he's all of these things encompass a man. Just you not hitting me is not telling me that I should be a good person. It's just telling me that you won't hit me.
True.
Which is telling me, okay, don't hit men, hit women.
That's scary.
That's the problem with learning by absence of something.
Yeah.
You can't just not speak to your kid about something and assume that they are now well versed in it. I think about this so much about like how no one ever had a conversation about the birds and the bees with me.
Yeah.
You just assume that I would just figure out.
No, so we've just had to fill the gaps ourselves.
Is that not going to lead me to make either the same mistakes you made, if you made mistakes? I'm not saying my parents made mistakes, but to either make the same mistakes you made or to make mistakes anyway, because I don't know what I'm doing. I think the worst thing you can do for a woman is not explain to them the power that thing has.
Yeah.
And let them go out into the world and let some guy trick them into, oh, it's going to be nothing, it's going to be fine, it's going to be nothing. Before you know it, you have a baby. And he's
dipped. Because he can. Carry him 9 months.
Why would you not explain that to your child? I know what you was hoping was the absence of the conversation would make me not be curious and make me not explore my sexuality. When has that ever happened? Again, how do you think people then go on to explore their sexuality?
I think we always talk about the African society where it's like you start off with not telling your child, like you tell them they can't date. They turn a certain age. Why aren't you dating? Where's your husband? Like, be for real. Where's the gap?
When did I learn how to date? These same people be like, oh, no one told me. I know, and that's why you're a single mom. Sorry. Sorry for the reality check. I know no one taught you how to date, which is why you're in the situation that you're in. And then you said, I'm going to do the same thing to you. Yeah. You'll just figure it out. You'll learn by my mistakes. Bitch, how? I have no foundation for this. Yeah. You don't date as a child. You're not dating. No. So you don't have anything to even build on. It's not like school where you did English in primary school and you went to secondary school and did English again. Yeah. I have nothing to base this on. Apart from my hormones, which are telling me he's hot.
And that's the thing.
And everything then happens for a reason. And so I think a lot of parents genuinely do think that's parenting. But you actually have to actively teach your kids things. And I think the sad thing about it... Yeah. And I think the sad thing about it is so many people probably related to that part of the conversation that the parents have in episode 4, which is like, we didn't shout at him. Yeah. We didn't beat him. Yeah. We didn't restrict him. Yeah. We encouraged him, like, in the things that he wanted to do. And somehow he's turned out to be a murderer. Yeah. What could we have possibly done? It's like, but if life is just play on the computer, go to school, no conversation, because you guys have admitted that you guys were not chatting to him. How can you be like, pat yourself on the back, done a sick job? Yeah. You don't know your child.
No. And I think you see that kind of course correction with the daughter, because they're trying to understand a bit about her, who she's dating, and like
you can already see it's too late.
It's too late, yeah, because she's like, I don't want to talk with you guys. No, it's fine. And also, you also have this big gaping hole in the family because you can't change it. You can't. Whether you try and move or you can't move, or whether you want to move out, it's not going to change things. It's going to follow you.
Yeah, that's what I mean by it's too late for her.
Yeah.
Forever. Yeah. Every conversation, every experience, every interaction is dominated by the absence of Jamie. Yeah. Talking about absence. Absence is a big theme in this episode. There is an absence of a decision as to whether they're going to move or whether they're going to stay. The dad is just straight up and not acknowledging that today is the sentencing or whatever, and they're going to find out how long Jamie's going away for. His van... He's a plumber. His van gets vandalised, and he's like, "Oh, it's fine. We'll just clean this off, and then we'll paint this, and then we'll go and we'll have this fantastic day. We're gonna have a fantastic day
because it's his birthday.
But also it's a distraction from the news that they know is pending. Yeah, and that does not stop him from still being in the emotional journey of what has happened to them. And it doesn't stop. They can't move around without people knowing who they are. They are celebrities. They are infamous.
For the wrong reasons.
That's what infamous means.
Hey, man.
They are infamous. And they always will be now.
Yeah.
And how do you get used to that?
No.
Because in all honesty, I was talking to a friend about this week. If you kill someone, right?
Wow, is this another conversation you're having with your friends?
My cousin.
Okay.
I was saying, the thing about, like, murder to me, right, is the minute you commit this act, you are now a murderer. Yeah. You will be a murderer even when you come out of prison.
100%.
You're going to be a murderer on your deathbed. You're going to be a murderer at the altar. You're going to be a murderer when you give birth to your child. You're going to be a murderer always. When you come out of prison, do you just move back to your old neighbourhood where everybody knows you're a murderer? No. You move, say. Yeah. You move. But if I Google you, you're a murderer. So I've got to move and change my name. Yeah. But someone sees a picture.
They'll know.
So they know. So I've got to move countries, change my name, get back to surgery. Like, I would love to know.
They just have to continue living, unfortunately.
I wish, like, someone would do a documentary of this. And I'm sure that actually most people wouldn't want to do this because if they've actually successfully moved on with their lives. But I would love to know what it is like 20 years in. 30 years
afterwards.
In. Yeah.
Isn't that Life After Lockup? Isn't there a show called Life
After? But that's just about people getting back with their jailbird girlfriends. Like, I would love to just genuinely have someone sit down and be like,
that's lovely.
Yeah, it's kind of mad that I'm still a murderer even though I did my time.
But that's unfortunately.
No, I get it. I don't disagree, but that's what I'm saying. I would what is that psyche? Because every time you have a nice day, every time you laugh, every time you make yourself a cup of tea, just
it'll always be there. And I think that's
back into your head.
That's why murder is got one of the highest sentences. Again, I think that's probably why, because it's so finite.
It is so finite.
That person is not coming back, and what is finite about murder.
It's finite, but it's also finite for you as well. Like, I can be a thief and not be a thief again. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Very true.
Like, I could steal tomorrow and not steal again, and people would not call me a thief. But you can't undo. No. You could be a murderer once and not have continued to murder, but you're a murderer.
Yeah. I mean,
and every time I'm mad at my husband, I'd be like, do you remember when you was a murderer? Like, can you imagine that? You're just with your wife, you get to argument, she's like, well, at least I've never killed anyone.
Oh my...
Or your kids.
Yeah.
Oh, don't kill me.
But there's... Oh my gosh. But I just think...
I'm desperate to know.
It's hard, yeah.
And I can't believe no one's ever done a series about what is it like
afterwards.
To just be mowing your lawn after you've murdered someone. And everyone knows you murdered someone as well. It's not like you murdered someone in a secret like on a TV show and nobody knows yet. You're just back in the neighbourhood.
All they can do is just live life day by day. But it will forever haunt them.
I don't know if I could. Yeah, I just don't know how I could just like...
Because there's nothing... Well, if I be honest, there's nothing else they can do. If they've done the time, they're still a murderer. They're probably going to be harassed for the rest of their lives. I think about...
Next week, there's a Netflix series coming out about the murder you did.
That also will happen. And I kept on also thinking about the sister in the show.
Yeah,
because because she will always be known as the sister of the boy who killed that girl. And wherever she goes...
Actually, I think she'll be fine eventually.
Yeah, eventually. But I think at that formative stage... Because she was still in school with him. I mean, maybe not they weren't at the same school, but...
Have you ever seen We Need to Talk About Kevin?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that is it deals with a similar story.
Yeah.
And Tilda Swinton is the mum. And her son has committed an atrocity. He's actually done a mass shooting.
Jesus.
He's now in prison. She still lives in this place. She's changed her name. She's moved house. Somebody sees her at a supermarket and they're like, I know you. Yeah. And she quickly leaves the supermarket, is going to her car and they're like, I know what you did. I know who you are. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be disgusted. And this is now years after her son has been in prison. And it's clearly something that just plagues you. You will always be the parent of the guy that did that thing.
And I think that was quite interesting in the scene, talking of in the shop, seeing you in the recognizing the person in the shop. The scene with Stephen Graham and the creepy guy who was helping him find paints to cover the vandalism of his van. And the boy goes to him and said, "I don't think your son did it."
Yeah, there's a forum online where we're doing the research.
And it just shows there is still such, again...
the conspiracy theory.
Yeah, the conspiracy theory, the mentality, like, it's rife. And I think also that scene, because at the moment when Stephen Graham's like, "I don't want to talk about it, can we move on? Or can you just show me where the paint is?" And then Stephen Graham turns around and the guy is just going back to help serve someone. And you're like, well, these people around you, the men that behave like this, some of them just have regular jobs and just living their regular life, but have this mentality behind that. It's scary.
I've known people who are like find conspiracy theories cool, and at the time I was like, go girl, do what you want to do. And now I would definitely look at them sideways.
It depends on how deep that conspiracy theory.
I think it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
It's a slippery slope to me. Like the conspiracy theory about like, did you know bread is actually ham? That's harm. That's whatever, you've made it up. But like, vaccines cause autism. Suddenly, we're not going to vaccinate our kids. Now our kids dying of mumps.
Yeah, that.
You know, you
biggest...
think that stuff is harmless when it's not like presented to you in the moment, and then all of a sudden it's all of this, or your parent believes that Trump's election was stolen from him, and they're joining January 6th, and now they're getting arrested, and you're gonna have to go bail your parent out because
it's,
do you know what I mean? Like,
I think it's scary when you speak to people that you've known most of your life, and they are deep in it, and you didn't realize. And I've been blindsided a few times by that in my life, and it's hard because you don't want to tell them like, girl or guy or whoever, wake up. But then also the same breath is like, but you're my friend and I love you. But then that being said, I'm looking at you sideways though.
You do need to have, and I think that's why those conversations about what people consume online is actually very important. Because I remember once meeting up with a group of friends, and somehow the topic got onto like trans women, and I have a very liberal attitude towards this thing, right? I think mind your own fucking business is what I think. People should live. I would rather somebody did what they needed to do to live the life that felt right and authentic to them than killed themselves. That's just me. That's just the world that I subscribe to. But a friend was like, I don't think it's right because it's not fair on women. And I was like, okay, in what way? It's like, because they're running in women's sports. And I said, who is they and what women's sports? And she's like, they're always talking about it on the news. And I was like, who is they? It's like, the more we spoke about it, the more it was like
DJ Khaled. Every time, they don't want us to win. Who's they? Who the hell is they?
And that's when I started to get nervous, because this person could not tell me what her source was. Yeah. She then said, I watched this documentary. So what's the name of the documentary? I watched it online. Proceeds to send me a link to a Put Locker site.
Oh god.
That's when I was like, what the fuck are we doing? Anything that's legitimate you can find on their Netflix, a Prime, the ITV, Sky. You're telling me this thing doesn't exist anywhere but Put Locker. And then you're sending it to me to say this is a legit source. Do you know who the people are that made this? Like, and it's crazy you don't ever want to say to someone who you love and respect, I think you're stupid. Yeah. Right? But that is what you're saying when you start asking them those questions. You can feel them bristling at, like, we're trying to say, I'm dumb and I fell for something. It's like, you don't have to be dumb to fall for stuff, by the way.
Yeah.
We are trained to believe shit that we see. So if it made sense to you, you thought it was real. All I'm saying is, if you cannot say where you found it, and if you don't know who any of the people in that documentary were, it's a good chance that somebody used their own money to put out hate, and it landed on your For You page, and you watched it, and now you think it's legit.
Yeah.
And now we're having a conversation, two people who aren't who aren't trans,
Yeah.
being like, this is the reality of what trans... You've never even met a trans person before, by the way. Why do you have such strong opinions about this thing? And I'm not trying to say, if anyone's listening to this who's like, I'm not saying you're not allowed to have strong opinions about things, but if you can't have a conversation without going, well, someone said, then perhaps you don't have an opinion. Perhaps you're just parroting something off from someone else. And that stuff is so closely linked to the incel stuff, which is, as we discussed earlier, basically a conspiracy theory about why you're ugly. That's what it is. It's a conspiracy theory about why you're ugly when the answer is take a bath. Well, answer is leave your house, go out in the natural sunlight for once. And you turn it into a whole conspiracy theory about how women are sitting at home plotting about, we pick him, we don't pick him. We pick him, we don't pick him. It's not that deep. It's never that deep. Sometimes you're going to approach a girl, you're going to be madly in love with her, you're going to make her move, but she's going to be like, it's a no.
Yeah. Rejection is real.
And you're just going to have to pull your big boy pants back up.
And keep on moving.
And keep it pushing.
Yeah, I think for episode 4, just like to wrap up my thoughts on it, I found episode 4, I'm not going to say the weakest, but it was the longest to watch.
That's really interesting because it didn't feel that long to me.
It's not. I was checking my time. I was like, how much time do we have? And that was the episode where I was like, this one take thing we need a cut. We need a break. We need a change in emphasis.
Something, yeah.
And also, you know, I know that this is a crime series, and I think what I missed was the resolution of finding out what happens at the end. And I know that's really sad to say. Like, I wanted to find out...
But we know what happens in the end. He was going to plead guilty.
He's going to plead guilty, but I wanted to know how long was he going to get. I wanted to see him in court. I felt like I wanted that... Maybe, and it's a more traditional resolution of a crime series and a crime drama, but I just wanted to get to see what the outcome was. And
but the easy thing about the outcome is that it means you can neatly pack this away. True. I think that's deliberate. You can't neatly pack this away. Yeah. The story is ongoing, right? Yeah. The story is ongoing, and that's the point. All of these stories are ongoing. Yeah, all the stories that these are based on are ongoing. Okay,
yeah, because
so why should you get a neat resolution to this story when all these other people don't get neat resolutions to theirs? I think it's deliberate.
It definitely was, but I think even if we found out that he was charged for life, yes, it's a resolution of his story, but it provides
But we're only
justice.
following his story. We're not in Kate's story. We're not in Kate's story. We don't even get to meet her family.
And I think that's to me that's something that I find quite frustrating because I can't even humanize. I mean, it's hard. I humanize it because I understand this type of story because we've seen it in real life on so many occasions, but I wish we had a bit of backstory on who she was beyond her just sending certain Instagram messages to Jamie and having just the tidbits of information about her through her friends. I missed that, but I just think at the end, because it was so long and it just felt very drawn out, the pace felt incredibly long and stretched out, and I didn't enjoy watching the episode as much, and it felt a bit anticlimactic, if I'll be perfectly honest. I did love some of the moments in it though, like the last scene, of course, with or one of the final scenes with Stephen Graham like holding that teddy and kissing it, or you know, even his anger with the paint, like throwing it against the van. Stephen Graham carried that episode.
He did carry that episode.
But I
actually thought the daughter was not a very good actress.
Yeah, she was.
She also didn't have anything to do.
There's nothing to do. She was just sitting in the middle of the van whilst they were having a chat, and to me it was just a lot. So how you felt about the school moment, I felt that way in parts of episode 4. I'm glad we understood. Okay, he was gonna plead guilty, and maybe we didn't need to see much. Just the true crime girly in me wanted that.
It's not a true crime show.
I know it's not a true crime, but it's based on the true crime. It's based on similar crimes that have happened in real life. I think for me personally as a viewer, I wanted a bit of understanding of what was going to happen next. Now, that's just me asking for what's going to happen next. They definitely didn't need to give it to me, but it's something that I wanted because that episode just felt so long, and it was up to that point. even with episode 4 is an incredible series. I just missed that. I just found out what happens at the end.
I think I found the 4th episode to be my second favourite one. Yeah, like I would say it goes 3, 4, 1 and then 2 for me. I just liked the realism of being with that family, right? Like, this doesn't end for us. It's not as neat, it's not as neatly tied, like, okay, he says he's going to plead guilty and then we can all go, okay, so that's that done, let's all move on with our lives. It's like, no, every minute of this is agonising. Everything that we do is agonising now because we have a family member that's gone. And in the flip, I'm sure that's what it's like for Katie's family, right? We have a family member that should be here who's not here. And every time we do something, it's just lurking at the background. But unlike Katie's family that can sort of remember her fondly, you have a bunch of conflicting emotions when you think about him. You're remembering your son who you hugged and kissed and loved. Then you're gonna be remembering that CCTV video that you watched of him murdering someone. Then you're gonna remember him looking you in your face saying he never did nothing wrong. Then you're gonna remember him saying that he's gonna plead guilty. And I think the other thing about him saying he's gonna plead guilty is he pleading guilty because he understands he's done something wrong? I didn't get the impression that he did. I think he pled guilty because he was like, that's how I'm gonna get out of here. I show remorse, I'm more likely to get out of here soon. Like, it felt to me like that episode, I felt just the torture of being in that family.
Oh yeah.
It felt torturous.
Yeah. You can't escape.
Yeah, you just couldn't. And I don't know if I felt like, story-wise I didn't think I needed more because I just there isn't much more to this story, is there? There isn't much more. Like, what the next episode is us sitting in court to learn what that we haven't learned at this point already. Like, I think the details of this are deliberately sparse because the point, and I'm just inferring that the point, this might not be it, but the point is almost like she didn't do anything to warrant this. And I think the worry would have been if you present too much of her, people will start to be like, well, she was a bit of a bitch. If you keep that as sparse as possible, those people who would be trying to empathise with him or sympathise with him have nothing to go on but the facts, which is she said you're a red pill person and he came and stabbed her. Is that okay? If we were to find out that she smoked, how would that affect how we felt about her dying?
Not at all.
That's you. But that's not everybody.
Not at all,
And I don't know, that would be, I'm just thinking, because I'm like, you're right, she's so
thinly described it.
That like I have to believe that it's deliberate. And what could they be saying in making that decision? Because very quickly you could argue, wow, this is a show about a girl getting murdered and the girl's barely in it. Once again we're saying let's focus on the guy, who's done the murder.
But this hasn't, it was deliberate. I do agree with you on that.
No, I'm just saying there are people that would probably watch it. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I probably initially was just like, once we got 3 episodes in, I was like, oh, they're really not going to show us this girl.
No.
I was like, damn. Okay. Yeah. And there was a part of me that's like, because in the documentary that I watched about Eliana Dam, it's completely from her perspective. Yeah. It's from her family, and it is what made me so heartbroken for her loss. It's because, like, they made her a real person to me. Yeah. They made her and what she stands for as just, like, the concept of a teenage girl so real to me that I was like, what's the world coming to when you're not even safe enough to be a teenager? You're not safe enough to be a teenager. When are you gonna be allowed to make mistakes? When you're in reception and that's it? You got to be perfect from this point onwards.
Even I don't want to talk about something I saw on TikTok because it's just wild.
But but yeah, I think I'm just speculating at like the deliberateness of that and how effective it was. And I guess for you, you're saying you just would have liked to know more.
But do you know what was giving me just even an ounce of resolution? You know, when they end the series, black screen, white writing. Tell me something.
Why would they black screen, white writing? It's not a real story.
I know. It's just, that's me personally. I just wanted to find out what happened in the court case.
But I'm saying, and I understand what you're saying, but I'm actually saying that is the unrealisticness of television.
Yeah.
Here is a resolution, because there's a resolution to things. In reality, we don't get resolutions. And I think, yeah, you're requiring a resolution is what you've come to expect from TV. I'm finding it really interesting that you require, like, how much you're saying it affected how you feel about the overall thing.
No, it's just how I felt about episode 4.
Okay, how you felt about episode 4, because you didn't get what you would consider a resolution. Yeah. But the show ended. That was the resolution. Yeah. And the resolution was, we don't get a resolution, right?
Yeah.
All great tragedies don't have a resolution, really. It's just something awful has happened.
Yeah.
What are we going to do about the awful thing? Look, we just have to move on.
Yeah, I mean, that's how the show decided to end it. And look, it wasn't bad. It just felt, because the pace of episode 4 felt to me quite long. I felt like, from a fictional scripted viewer perspective, I just wanted a little extra take out, and that was a resolution I would have liked. But that being said, there's been many shows that have been able to write great finales where you don't get a takeout, and you just like, it is what it is, and you get what you get, and regardless of whether I want a resolution or not, we didn't get one, so it is what it is when you get what you get. And it doesn't, episode 4, even though it was not my favourite, it doesn't detract away from how incredible, from a scripted perspective, it depicted a true life incidents that have happened in the past, and what this is inspired by.
I just really want to.
I know it's not real life.
Be careful, because it's not a true story.
I know it's not a true story, but I know it's inspired by, like, it wasn't like, this did not just fall into Stephen Graham's lap. He has read articles and stories of similar things that has happened and built from it, and that's why I think he has been able to do that in such a incredible way of describing something that this story could easily happen, because similar stories like this have happened, and that's the inspiration. Another one is like inspired by. I know it's not this is not the exact true story, but it's like inspired by similar things and incidents that have happened, and I think that's why I think is a really strong depiction of it. In terms of my episode, like, preference, like, I liked episode 3, then 1, then 4, then 2, but it's just mainly because of the pace aspects. Going back to the execution, like, it being one continuous take, it brings you in as a viewer, and it means that you have to be truly immersed. And I think there were some episodes that, like you said at the beginning, executed that in such a smooth way and felt like it was really well paced all the way through. And there was some where I was like, wow, this is dragging. And unfortunately that was 4 and 2 for me personally. But it doesn't take away from the fact that this so far is one of the most gripping things I've watched in the year so far. And I think that's every show we watch seems to be outdoing the other, but I definitely think that this is a standout. I definitely think Stephen Graham, he's he's on like trajectory for like the stratosphere with this show, and I think people are talking about doing season 2. I don't think this needs a season 2. I think it is what they've done with this story is captured the way it needs to be. I don't need a series 2 to follow on from a new type of story, because I don't want it to just be like a trauma dump of new stories. I think it was done in a way that is a perfect limited series for what it was supposed to do. That's just my general thoughts.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting that Netflix has had kind of a good run with its limited series, but still doesn't have anything returning that requires people to, get bums on seats. Not Netflix as a whole, but I mean Netflix UK. Like, I think Black Doves is coming back, but like, I can't think of something that I'm like, oh yeah, but you don't even have Black Mirror anymore. Black Mirror is like Netflix US. So like, what are the titles that Netflix UK has that's returning? Nothing. Like, you're just sort of like focusing on these, maybe not focusing, but you are able to put these limited series together that really hit home, but you can't get your returning, figure out how to do that with the returning stuff. One last thing I wanted to say about the show was, I think one of the things that, like, for me, I watched it to the end. I watched it all in one day. I wouldn't say I didn't enjoy it. I guess I just, there was something off about it for me. in places. I found it inconsistent, and I think that's why it's hard for me to say like this is one of the best things I've watched this year. It's definitely one of the best things I've watched this year, but I have not watched that many things this year. Yeah. So it's like
the bar is low at the moment.
You're in the top 10, but there was only 4, so it's fine. But I think one of the problems with the one continuous shot is that it affected the music that the show used. There was a real lack of sound and music in this series. I think it wasn't until episode 3 or 4 where they started having music in the background. And I'm recently coming to this realization about art and the things that we create. For me, for a show to really be good is where everything everything sings together, right? And it becomes this like beautiful tapestry. I found the lack of sound in this contributed to why some of it felt so long and some of it felt so confusing, because where music would set the tone, there wasn't any. So some of those scenes I was like, I just don't know if this is an important moment or a moment that is just a flash in the pan. Like, and I feel like the reason why I found the school one the least enjoyable is because there were more moments like that where you were following some kids and then we never saw those kids again, and nothing that they said actually contributed to the story. It was just a way into another thing. But you don't know, we did not know which ones were ones we were supposed to take seriously and which ones were just, this is a transition. And because we didn't have the music, it just made the whole thing feel like you are actually at school.
I think it's the whole part of it being very immersive, right?
No, I get that. I don't want that from it. You're a TV show.
Yeah.
I am aware I'm watching a TV show. I'm aware I'm watching a TV show even more because it's all one shot. Yeah. And I'm like, this is weird. You need music. Yeah. Everything needs music. Like, it is, maybe it's a bad habit that we have gotten into, that everything has music, so you always think it needs music. But when I think about so many of my my favourite scenes and things, or my favourite films, the soundtrack is so perfectly translating, is perfectly translating what you're seeing into an audio thing as well. So you are immersed, right? There are so many ways to immerse someone that's not just being like, you have to follow this one shot. And I feel like they missed a trick with not figuring out how to make the sound support what they were doing.
Yeah. I noticed that in episode 3 there was a moment when, was it as he was shouting? There was a moment when there was some music in episode 3, but there was a moment where like I felt that the pin had dropped and there was like something he had revealed, and I was like, oh, that would be the perfect time to like bring this, like introduce us this score that just like gives a bit of tension. I'm not a musician, and I'm not an editor in any sort of the word, but I really felt like that would have been such a great moment just to punch that moment.
To underscore it.
Yeah, and it didn't have that, but I was like, okay, it's fine. Again, it's one shot, and we're getting the sounds of the echoes in the room, that kind of, not echoes, but like there's a silence, but there's not a silence. Like there's a silence of you being on set in this location. Again, the whole point, like, this is a play. This is theatre. This is not. Yeah. You know.
And even theatre has sound. Like, it's true. Everybody utilises it. Like, storytelling at its simplest is an oral medium, right? Yeah. And you are making sounds with your mouth. Yeah. But often it will be accompanied by someone playing music. Yeah. So, and we've been doing that since, like, 4 BC or whatever the fuck. Yeah. Who do you think you are? Not putting music on. So, I don't want to do this without the music. Yeah. But yeah, that would be my main criticism, along with the like, please, we need some cuts. Yeah. Is I think it's a very ambitious like idea for telling a story, and I support that, and I think more shows need to be ambitious in the way they tell stories. Not every day everything is just like, you can just guess what every scene and every line of dialogue is going to be. But obviously there are shortcomings in every experiment, and I would say the next experiment, play around with how many shots you're using per episode. True.
Yeah. Okay, so how would you rate Adolescence?
I would give this a 4
out of 5.
Maybe I'll give this a 3.75.
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna give this a 4.
Because the sound stuff really did bother me.
I really... The sound was nice to have. But I loved the experimentation of I loved how they experimented with this. And it made me think of the conversation that we had. I think it was like last year. Actually, maybe about this time last year, we were talking about the state of content and the fact that so many production companies, what's it called? Streamers are throwing millions at productions. For 6 episodes, 8 episodes. And actually you can make some great TV on a shoestring budget. Now we don't know how.
I don't
no. The drone shots. Yeah. Let me take that back. It's not a shoestring budget, but I mean like it is definitely significantly less than some of the things that you're seeing, and it's different, and it's new and it's fresh. Some of these shows are being paid 100 million, 50 million, and it's just the same thing we've seen before. Whereas this feels, I don't know how much was spent, and it's definitely not a shoestring budget, but I cannot imagine it being massively more expensive than Eric.
Yeah. I did wonder because I thought the first episode had quite a few like names, like quite a few people I recognised. I was like, like the more people you get that I recognise, surely the more expensive the cast becomes. But like all the students were unknown.
No, exactly. And I think in terms of a cast, minus the school scene where you probably have tons of extras, it's quite a small cast. It's quite insular, and I just feel like just to have a very grounded story, I felt like it was done in a fresh way, and I'm guessing is not as expensive as some of the things that streamers are paying for. And that's what it reminded me of, that conversation we had about just like the state of content. But overall, I love the experimentation around it. I love that it's bringing the conversation about the incel culture, manosphere into the zeitgeist. The fact that, it's been spoken about in Parliament. There is more awareness for it. Is it going to reach the right audience? I mean, I think it's going to reach parents. Is it going to reach young kids? We don't know. Or young boys? We don't know. But I just think it's important that this subject is brought more into the zeitgeist. That is not just kept into the underbellies of the internet, or some people know about it, or it being spoken about on podcasts. Like, for having a show that is a reference point for what is going on, I think is really important as well. And I think I mentioned before that it was kind of, this show has been described as like the baby reindeer of this year. Maybe it's not on the same level, but I definitely think from a breaking ground and talking about an issue that impacts men or boys in this case for adolescents, I think that that I can understand why there's those similarities and parallels. And I think for the fact that it felt really groundbreaking in how they've executed the show, that's why I gave it a 4 out of 5. But yeah, we will see on the flip side with another new review. Yeah. You'll be surprised, which will be fun. But yeah, this has been Scripts and Giggles with Shoshana.
And Marnie.
Bye.
Bye.